There really wasn't much sign. They didn't. I haven't seen a lot of sign this year. I saw more sign last year, but I like hunting sign. Don't get me wrong, but in my head, most sign is done at night. I try to figure out their travel routes more, where they're coming to get to that spot. I love finding sign. Don't get me wrong, so I know they're there. But in this spot where I killed them and where I'm hunting, you wouldn't think it was really anything special, just because the sign wasn't there. But I just from historical data, from knowing that he was going to be in this area, and then the camera footage that I did have of him, just to know that he was around. But if you didn't know what I know, most people would just walk right by this spot.
All right, Mr. Josh Crocker, how's it going, man?
Good. How are y'all?
I'm doing well.
I'm not doing nearly.
I'm not doing as good as you are. You're doing a lot better than I am.
It's been a good season so far.
Yeah. Hey, you're our year ender this year. You're our last episode of 2025.
Awesome.
No pressure.
Hey.
Oh my gosh! We just said don't be nervous about being on podcast. You hit them with no pressure. That's terrible.
I'll do my best. Can't make any promises, but I'll do my best.
All right, Josh. So you popped up on our radar this year. I think I've seen you around on different social media groups and everything over the years. But this year you've had a pretty good season.
Yeah, it's been a season of a lifetime so far.
So you got these deer behind you. One of them is 180. I took notes now. I don't have them in front of me. 187.
Yep,
187
and 1/8 and 140 and 5/8.
Both on Alabama public ground.
Yes, sir.
Dude, that's silly. And those deer were running together.
Yeah. I had them both early season and all summer together. I had history with them last year too, running together. So I don't know if they're father and son or what, but they knew each other pretty well.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about them, but those are not the only nice buck shoot. Like, it's not like you just had a really good season this year. You've been killing nice deer for a long time on public ground. So I want to talk about these deer, but also want to talk about kind of years past. And I think an interesting subject to get into. One thing that I'm just very curious about, because I hunt similar areas to you, hunt public ground, is hunting a specific deer on public ground in the Deep South, which you did successfully this year. But first of all, just tell us a little bit about how long you've been hunting, how long you've been hunting public land, all that stuff.
I've been obsessed about all my life with deer hunting and turkey hunting. Always been in the woods. I grew up basically in the same county my whole life. It's right on the foothills of the Appalachians, so it's just real mountainous, real hill country. There's a lot of public land around me as far as national forests and WMAs. I got a lot of places within 30 miles of me to go to, and as y'all know, the crazy Alabama ruts we have, I can hunt the rut from mid-November to January, all within 30 minutes of the house. So it's exciting. I guess there's always somewhere to go, somewhere to be. I hunt a lot of early season is my main. I guess I chase the rut. I know I hear you talk about chasing the rut. That's mainly what I do, except for early season. I'm a big hiker. That's all I scout more than anything. But like I said, there's a lot of land to hunt around where I live, and there's a lot of good hunters where I live. That's what's hard. Everything's pressured. I've got a lot of good friends that are just dynamite hunters that I don't know, you gotta put the extra work in to be able to figure these mountain deer out and to be able to have an edge over the next guy. Like I said, I turkey hunt a lot, so I'm always scouting. I'm always walking around. I know when the ruts are and what areas they come in, so I know when to focus my time on certain places more than others. My main, I guess, thing that helps me out the most is my hiking. I'm always on the move. I'm always looking. I'm always observing. Most of the places I hunt are 2, 3, 4 miles in. I try to get past where most people like to go, and I like to go to the places that nobody wants to go to, because that's where I've figured out a lot of the bigger mature bucks, they're going to go where they don't have pressure. They're going to get deeper and deeper, especially as the season goes on. They're going to try to get away from all the pressure.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you right there before you go too deep, because you're mentioning mountains and everything. You hunt mountains, but like you said, here in Alabama, we can chase the rut, and you hunt swamps a little bit too, which we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. I'm kind of interested to hear how your strategy changes between the two, because I feel real comfortable hunting up in mountains and in hill country.
I'm a lot more comfortable.
When I go to the swamp, I'm like, I hope I see a pig or something.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty rough. But did you grow up around guys that like to target individual deer, or is that something that you developed on your own later on?
I guess I've started targeting more the past 5 years or so, since trail cameras you can kind of know what's out there a little more. I targeted just mature deer is all I've ever hunted. I didn't care what they scored or how big they were, just as long as they were mature is what I've always tried to do. Basically, if I can get pictures of a good deer, I try to hone in. But for years and years, it was just whether it was a mature deer or not is all I was trying to do. I don't like shooting young deer. I like to see what they can become into, especially on public land. You got deer just filter in and out to where you don't know what's coming, especially during the rut, and everything changes when the rut hits on who's there and where they go.
One thing that you mentioned kind of early on is your passion for hiking.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something you've had for a long time, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay. But based off you liking and enjoying hiking, just going through the woods hiking, it allows you to be able to scout more.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's already something you like to do. Like, you probably enjoy scouting, but you enjoy hiking anyway, so it compounds. And that's a commonality we have with a lot of some of the more successful guys we've had on the podcast is not necessarily hiking. They enjoy hiking, but they scout a lot more than they hunt, and they try to really learn a piece and figure out how their deer are using it. And it gives them a leg up compared to a lot of the other guys, whether it's on a hunting club or it's on, some piece of public land. And I think that's a huge difference. And probably, you hear it a lot, like, oh man, you got to scout, you got to scout, you got to scout. I'm real bad about that. I like to hunt.
Yeah.
And hunt my way in, like, scout a lot during in season. But that is a commonality with a lot of our guys. Is like, man, you've got to, like, a lot of these guys have a lot of success scouting, learning an area, picking it apart, and then figuring out, like, is it even worth my time hunting?
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is putting in the miles and figuring out. I study onyx. I'm a topo guy. I'll study I don't know if a day goes by that I'm not studying topos for whatever reason, different areas, just anything that gets on my mind. I'm trying to figure out the lay of the land. Like I said, but it's all for scouting purposes. I love to hike, but it's for scouting purposes. Turkey season, I'm mainly scouting for deer while I'm turkey hunting, just trying to figure out, because everything looks different at different times of the year, and just trying to figure out how these deer move and travel.
We're going to ask a lot of questions about this because, like I said, I'm real curious about it, and I'm getting ready to hunt for the rest of this week, starting tomorrow. I'm gonna be hunting 1 or 2 deer that I've had on camera this year, and like really trying to kill those things. We got this big cold front rolling in, rut starting, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, knock on wood. But let's go ahead and let's talk about these deer. Like the story behind these deer, how you found them, the history you've got with them. Which one of them did you kill first?
I killed this one first, October 1st. I'm hunting in the Zone E area where that comes in a little bit earlier. I love hunting early season before the deer get too pressured and know what's going on. They're still in that summertime feeding pattern where they're pretty predictable on what they're doing, find the feed trees and find where they're comfortable in the bedding and all that, because they're not moving a whole lot. They're not traveling a lot, so you can kind of figure out their patterns a little better. This particular land property, I'd been hiking in. I've been hunting it for several years. I've been hiking in. It's the bad part about hiking and scouting, because I'm a mountain goat and I'll just keep on going and just keep looking and looking, just trying to figure out, just finding spots on the map and just seeing what it looks like. And it doesn't make sense to hunt them a lot of the times because I'm so far back in there that it's not practical for me to go back in there. I'll be 5 miles deep, find crazy good sign. I found a bunch of big sheds way back in there and just stuff that makes me want to hunt it every day, but it's just not practical to hike 2.5 hours into a spot, and especially if you want to hunt it at the right times of day when you want to be there early in the morning or late in the evening. So it's hard to pick and choose between where you want to hunt. I've kind of capped off my, I guess, spots that I try to stay within 2 to 2.5, 3 miles. Like I can feasibly get to them and when I want to be there. The spots that I was hunting, that I found them, there's not much public access to get to it. So you have to hike a long ways to get to some of these spots that are so deep, and a lot of them are landlocked to where they still get pressured a lot by the private landowners, but it's just impossible to get to from public land without hiking miles and miles and miles. So it's just hard to practically hunt back in there. I scouted and found this area that I loved. It was just wasn't practical for me to get into, and so I started door knocking, started calling. There's a couple hunting clubs. There's different places that are all in proximity to it. That's still a mile or two away, but still half the distance than what I was going. Just made it a little bit more feasible to get to. But in my area, everybody hunts. If they don't, somebody in their family does, or somebody so-and-so, and nobody lets a stranger through their property. That's just part of it. I mean, I understand it. I wouldn't let strangers through my property for the most part, especially if I hunted too. It's just everybody's after big deer. And so I got to know a guy, got to be friends with him over a couple years. I checked back in with him just to see if he hunted, but he didn't hunt the mountain. He had a few acres on the bottom of the mountain that he's just your normal casual hunter. He don't work real hard at it. He'll just go out on some weekends when he's got time, go mainly just a meat hunter, just to provide for the family. And I got to know him pretty good, and we ended up making a deal where I gave him meat and helped him out around the place, point some good spots for him to hunt, just kind of help him out around, and he'd give me access through his property. So the summer of 2024, last summer, when he first gave me permission, it was, June, July, I've started hiking and scouting up there, and it's terrible. It's just straight up and down, just bluff, rock country. It's where I wanted to be, as far as I knew other people weren't going up there, and I just had it in my mind, if there was any big deer around here, this is where they would be, because nobody's going to hike up into this. Nobody. I mean, it's just terrible country. It's big north-south facing mountain, and for some reason, most of the sign I could find, I was entering from the south side, and most of the sign was on the north side, so I was having to go uphill both ways to get up there. The first day I hiked it and scouted it, I got all the way up top and started finding sign, and it looked good, and I'm just like, the hell with this place. There's no way I'm going to come back up here. This is awful. It takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get up to where I'm seeing any kind of sign. It's just ankle-breaking country rocky. It's just like gravel rocks, and it's just hard to navigate. And I said, well, I'm up here. I'm going to put out some cameras and just see what's up here, see if it's worth coming back or not. I put out some cameras in some good spots. There's a bunch of big drainages and funnels. There's a couple I like to focus on, like benches and saddles. I wasn't sure if they were working the top of this big mountain or the sides, so I just spread cameras out around. I'm more of a side hiller kind of guy. I like to hunt the little bitty flats or benches or whatever, a little bit of terrain change where they can come up and make sign on something that's not just straight vertical. So I put some cameras out and came back down, and I was regretting it from the first time. I was like, I'm gonna have to go back up there and get these dang cameras.
Exactly.
Yep.
I started using cell cameras pretty hard the past few years, and I don't like to rely that much on cameras, but up there where it's so hard to access and get to, they've made a huge difference on my scouting, just so I don't have to go up there and check them all the time and wondering if the batteries are dead or wondering what's going on and wondering if I should have been there and missed out on an opportunity because I didn't know something. But I think it was 3 or 4 nights after I'd put cameras out on a bench. I'd gotten several does and some small bucks traveling across it. I'd found I'm trying to think of what the terminology for it is. Just you could tell where there was some old scrapes there and just pretty much just big post rubs on some big trees. You could just tell it was just historical rubs, I guess, just where bucks had always traveled through there. So I just put some cameras around on it, and there was some feed trees, a couple white oaks. There's not, for as big a mountain and many hardwoods as there is up there, there's not many white oaks. They're very scarce to find white oaks. So I'd put the few that I found, I put cameras around them, even though they hadn't started dropping yet. I tried to focus on areas where they would be coming at. And like I said, it was 3 or 4 nights after I put them out. One night I checked my phone to see, and all I saw was horns on it. And I said, "Oh, son of a gun, what is this? What's going on?" And it was the big boy up here. He was actually a little bigger last year. He scored 187 this year. I had no clue he was going to be that big. I was thinking 170 range. I mean, growing up in Alabama, all you can dream of is shooting a 150. That's just what you hope for in life. It seems like you always want to shoot a 150. I've been fortunate through all my years. I've killed a lot of 115s, 120s, 130s. I've killed a handful of 130, 140s. 145 was my biggest up until this point in Alabama. So you can kind of judge. That's just how my judging mind went. I can guesstimate up to a 150, but over that, you're just not used to seeing it. You don't know what it is. And
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. That's good instincts on your part for that, because I mean, we talked to so many different guys across the Southeast, but especially a lot of guys in Alabama, and like your average mature buck in Alabama is 115, 120 inches.
And that's
straight up.
And that's what I've always hunted and killed. And I mean, not to toot my horn, but I've killed a lot of 120-inch bucks, and just the past couple years, I've tried to work a little harder, just because, I mean, you see or hear every now and then a big one coming out, and then just the area I'm in, you'll see a 140 or 150 just here and there, just a lot of the times coming out of these mountains, but most of the time it's during the rut and somebody got lucky and it just happenstance. They never had any history with them, just he ran by and damn, he killed a 150 the other day, and he'd never seen them before, never heard nothing about them. And then other times it's private landowners that came off the public onto them to where they just had better access to some of the deeper spots. So that's what I guess motivated me to start holding myself to a little bit higher standard. I wanted to start trying to find bigger deer. That's what made me start hiking in all this, so I started getting pictures of him. Couldn't believe it. I was getting them once or twice a week, maybe, just at night, and I was just flabbergasted by him. Just didn't know how to work him, just because he was so far up. And like I said, it was about two miles deep when I first started getting pictures of him. So I started going up. I'm afraid of bumping him. A deer that big is, you don't want to, I guess, make them smarter than they already are. You don't want to know that you're on to them. So I'm trying to go in at the right times of day. I work. I'm a factory worker. I work night shift, 12-hour shift, swing shift, to where I don't hunt weekends. I rarely ever hunt a weekend. I work every other weekend, and then my off weekend, I'm a family guy, so I spend it with my wife and son. So my mainly times I hunt are during the random days during the week. I might hunt a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday, just depending on my work schedule. And then the nights I do work, I get off at 6 in the morning, to where, depending on how much sleep I want to get, I can go in after daylight or get a couple hours of sleep and go midday. But most of my scouting, to try to minimize bumping or educating deer, I go in midday and hike from 9 to 2, just the main times that deer aren't moving, just to try to not bump anything, especially early season and times when I know I'm not going to walk up on something. I'm not going to walk up on a deer with my bow or nothing like that, so I don't really expect to be hunting per se, and just more scouting. But all summer long, I'd go up there hiking around. I just started doing grid searches. I've got about 6 cell cameras, and I had a couple other normal non-cell cameras, but I had, I guess, 8 or 9 cameras last year. I would just do grid searches. I would start going deeper and deeper, just making big circles around the mountain, different terrain changes, just trying to study the topo and try to hit every spot that looked interesting to me. And just, I mean, I worked my butt off last year trying to figure this deer out, and I got him. Some nights he would be 2 mile. He traveled like crazy last year. One night I'd have him on camera at 10 o'clock at night at this spot, 2 miles away, deeper. I'd have him on a camera 2 hours later, where he would travel just stupid amount of distance within short time frames, but I felt like I was figuring him out because he was hitting my camera. I was in his travel routes where I was getting them pretty commonly, because that's what's hard about these mountain deer. And on public land, you can't bait, you can't do anything to attract them. You're just hunting trails and just trying to figure out their travel routes for the most part. And so I kept on doing grid searches, trying to figure out, because I'm just trying to get closer to daylight hours to them. It's easy to get a deer in the nighttime, but seeing what he was traveling, there's no way to know where he was coming from, and just trying to get this is not just because you get pictures of him don't mean you can kill him.
Is there any obvious bedding on this place where you were like, oh, that's probably where they're laying during the daytime?
There's several. I don't know the right terminology, I guess, but I've always called them thermal hubs. Just it's like these big drainages that come together. Some of the fingers, 'cause it's just one big mountain ridge system, and there's several. Some of it, it's straight up and down for the most part, but there's some fingers that come off here and there, and some of them meet and have these kind of bowls like drainages where it's just super rocky. There's a bunch of Mount Laurels in there. That's about the only thick stuff up there. There's a little bit of pines here and there, but for the most part, it's open hardwoods. And I'm a thick hunter. I'd rather hunt on the edge of bedding versus scrapes and feed. 9 out of 10 times, I want to get where they're coming from, because most of the time signs made at night, and they do most of their traveling at night. So I want to be where they're coming from. So I just kept putting cameras out, trying to figure out where he was coming from. And then once I'd start getting pictures of him closer to daylight hours, at least a couple hours from daylight, I would start honing in on that area more, just moving cameras around, just trying to figure out where he was coming from. And last year there was about 3 hubs, is what I call them, I guess, that 3 big bowls that he would come in and out of for the most part, closest to daylight hours. But y'all know how mountain hunting is, that the winds are so hard to hunt up there, especially in those hubs that I call them. They just swirl, and they're just impossible to hunt. There's a couple sets I would try to hunt down in there, and I would just be getting blown at nonstop, to where just that wind, I mean, weatherman says it's going to do this, it's just hitting me every which way in those hubs. It just bounces around in there. But that's where he was staying at, in places like that, so that he knew you were there before you could even have a chance, I guess.
Did you have trail camera data to kind of give you a confidence that he was staying in some of those hubs?
Yeah. Last year, I had more information this year, but last year I started figuring out there's 3 different hubs he was staying in. As the season progressed, the more and more I was learning about them. They rut on this mountain mid-November, I guess the week before Thanksgiving. And last year, I finally started getting some daylight pictures of him. It was the rut was just starting to kick off, and he was moving around more and more. I started getting daylight pictures of him, and so I I already knew just from historical data of hunting all those areas when the rut was prime time. So having him on camera and knowing he's a once in a lifetime deer, I took off 3 weeks of work. I saved all my vacation up from work, took off, and I hunted harder than I've ever hunted a deer last year. But to get to where the spots where I felt confident that he was at, and that's the type of hunter I am. I'm not gonna waste time or hunt unless I'm confident in a spot. I'll keep searching and finding. I'm not gonna go sit hours in a spot if I don't feel confident in it. And so I finally found some spots that I thought maybe he would daylight in, and then I started getting pictures of them. So I took 3 weeks off of work last year. I hunted 14 days straight. It took me to the spots that I was 3 or 4 different spots I honed in on. I was flip-flopping around between them, but it would take me an hour and a half to 2 hours of hiking just to get back there. So I'd start out hiking at 3:30 in the morning before daylight to get there before daylight and set up, because I like to get there 30 minutes before daylight if I can, or at gray light. I like for everything to settle down after I get up there. I'm a tree stand climber guy. I haven't got into saddle hunting. I like to be comfortable. These spots that I'm hunting all day long. I'm gonna sit if I've got the time. I'm gonna stay there all day. It's not practical for me to hike in 2 hours, come out at lunch, and then go back in. So I plan to sit all day. I take a pack of food or snacks or whatever to get me by.
One thing we talk about with almost every guest on this show is map scouting. My favorite map scouting tool is LiDAR. If you're unfamiliar, LiDAR is basically like a 3D scan of the Earth's surface. I like to say it kind of takes away all the surprises. LiDAR is now available on onX Hunt on their topography map. If you go to your app right now, click on the topography map, you can flip on that LiDAR feature and boom, it's gonna come on and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. The LiDAR is gonna allow you to see things that are normally hidden from view. This might be ditches, bends and creeks, rocks, old road beds. I personally love old road beds because deer like to walk them. They're great places to find scrapes. They're great camera locations. And before, an old roadbed or an old logging road might be something that you kind of happen upon while you're out scouting or hunting. Well, now with the LiDAR, before I go into an area, I can turn on that LiDAR and I can see exactly where those roadbeds are. Even old logging roads from the 1930s, you can still see them on there. So that allows me to go straight to those spots and check them out. It's just an incredibly helpful tool, and it's available now on onX Hunt. And hey, if you want to get 20% off your onX Elite membership, you can use the promo code SOUTHERN. Like I said, it's going to save you 20%. Go check out that LiDAR feature. You'll be glad you did. Know where you stand with onX Hunt. So when it comes to packing your gear into the woods, there's really one thing that matters the most to me, and that is being able to have everything very secure and within the footprint of your torso, essentially, which means that I don't want anything sticking out from either side. I don't want anything sticking up above my back. You just want to keep everything really tight, close to the body, so you're not snagging on things when you're walking through the woods. To do that, it's important to have a backpack that has a lot of options for how you can attach things to the pack. This is the Ranger 22 and Ranger 33 from Latitude, two of our favorite packs. And the reason I like these packs is because they've got 2 straps that go across the body of the pack. They've got this panel that goes over those straps, and then you also have straps on the bottom of the backpack as well. What that allows me to do is I can attach my sticks and my platform in a variety of different ways that keeps everything very secure and kind of covered up. Like you can see, I've got my platform right here covered with this panel. Again, that keeps it very tight and it keeps it close to my body where nothing's hanging out and snagging on briars or vines or anything as I'm trying to make my way to the stand, which keeps me quiet and keeps me from getting aggravated when I'm walking through the woods. So I personally like the Ranger 22 a lot. The Ranger 33 is a slightly bigger pack. It's a really good option, especially as you get into later season. If you want a little bit more room, it's gonna make it easier to carry things like bibs or any extra layers that you're gonna need for cold weather. So you can check both of these out at latitudeoutdoors.com.
Everybody needs a great pair of binos, and if you're looking to get you a better pair of binos this fall, check out the Viper HD 10x42s from Vortex Optics. These are quickly becoming one of my favorite pair of binos because they're lightweight, they're fairly compact, and they have great glass for the price point. So if you're looking for premium glass without the premium price, check out the Viper HDs from vortexoptics.com. And if you want to purchase, you can go over to eurooptic.com and use the code Southern10. Again, it's Southern10 at eurooptic.com to save you 10% on anything from Vortex. Over the years, we've interviewed quite a few successful ground hunters when it comes to bow hunting, and the commonalities between all of them is using the shadows to their advantage. Having overhead cover, back cover, and a little bit of front cover that adds a little bit more shadows to their setup, which allows them to hide a lot easier. That's what we've done today and built this brush blind for Andrew to come in here with his recurve and shoot some does, hopefully early season when these white oaks behind the camera are going to be dropping. One important thing about blending in the shadows is having something that works camel wise in the shadows, and that's one thing I like about this mossy oak woodsman leaf jacket is it's a little bit darker in color, and to me blends in a little bit better to the shadows during early season when you have full leaves on those trees. This is something I'm going to keep in my backpack all season because it's really compact, it's really lightweight, and breathes really well, and I really won't need it until I need it, but it's going to be in my backpack the whole time, which is really nice because of how compact it is. So if you're interested in ground hunting a little bit this year or having extra concealment up in the tree, check out the Mossy Oak Woodsman Leaf Jacket at mossyoak.com. Are you packing a climber in, or are you using lock-ons?
Climber. I tote Summit. Summit climber is an extension of my body now.
Going in and out?
Yeah. I got to last year.
You love misery, first.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot about you right now.
I love comfort though too, and it keeps me in shape. I like. That's part of my. I don't go to the gym.
Maybe I need to start carrying a something.
I don't go. I hike with a Summit on my back, but I've got about I think 8 Summit stands. Mm-hmm. Every time I see one on Marketplace for cheap, I buy it, and that's. But I stage them out there. I hide them in blowdowns in different places to where I don't have to hike with them. And I don't like leaving them in trees where people can see them, so I hide them in different various locations to where, depending on where I decide to hunt, I'll go in and then go to that climber, pick it up, and then tote it the rest of the way, whether it be a couple 100 yards or whatever, just so I don't have to tote a climber in all the way. But the initial getting the climbers there, it's awful getting up there. But yeah, I stage them out, and then just depending on which area I want to hunt, I'll go uncover it. I usually put them, like I said, under blowovers and bury them with leaves or just something just to hide them, just to keep people from finding them. But in those areas, I didn't see a lot of human sign. I saw cameras up there. I know people knew about them. So I had to try to play it smart. And like I said, the more work you put into it, the better edge up you have on people, I guess. The bad part about a lot of that mountain is the private landowners at the bottom. They don't think anybody's hiking back in there. They treat it as private land a lot of the time. So I find a lot of corn piles. I find a lot of ladder stands, just a lot of stuff that I have to try to stay away from just because I don't want to get busted hunting near it or unknowingly being by it. So there's a lot of pressure that shouldn't be up there that is, I guess. A lot of four-wheeler trails, a lot of stuff, people getting up there a lot easier than I am. So yeah, I stage climbers everywhere. Last year I played cat and mouse with them all during the rut. I had several daylight pictures of them within the week of November the 12th through the 22nd. That 10-day time frame is when I was in the woods. I was in the woods for, I think I said, it was 14 days, I believe. I stayed straight. So I'd hike in at 3:30 in the morning. I'd spend 14-hour days in there. Hike in, get to my spots, stay all day, come out after dark, 2 hours, hike out after dark. I mean, it was misery. I had some home life problems. My wife, my wife didn't like me too much those 2 weeks.
I was about to ask.
But my wife is my biggest supporter. She knows how much effort I put into all this, and all she wants to do is see me succeed. She's the epitome of the perfect wife and support system, I guess. She knows. And then after seeing pictures of this deer, she knew it was important and that I needed to do what I needed to do to try to get it done. But yeah, I hunted them hard last year. I lost like 30 pounds during deer season just hiking in, eating protein bars and just whatever snacks I could in the stand all day. I saw them twice.
Oh, I was going to ask. Okay.
Chasing, but like I said, it's just straight up and down. And the spots that I was mainly hunting were just little benches, just little bit of terrain changes on the sides of the mountain. And most of them are 1,400 to 1,500 elevation, so it's 3/4 of the way up the mountain for the most, halfway through. He was mainly working horizontally. I had cameras and stuff on the saddles and stuff crossing, but he didn't cross the mountain much. He would, but it wouldn't be like a normal thing. He'd either be on one side or the other. If he crossed over it, he was going to be on that side for a day or two, and then he'd finally come back over the other side. So it was just a hit or miss on which side he was on. But the north side was where I mainly got him on, so I didn't even hunt the south side. There was some other hunters that did hunt the south side that I found out that I met them on the mountain that they were hunting them too. They had pictures of them, but they were just nighttime pictures, so I wasn't too worried about them because I felt like I had more intel than a lot of people did, just as much as homework as I did on the place. So yeah, that week I saw them twice, 2 different days, chasing does. I wasn't able to get a shot at them. I'm being super picky up there. I passed a lot of bucks that most people would have been super happy with. I would have been happy with, but it was an all or nothing for him. I was so far back in there, I wasn't gonna shoot any other buck but him. I think I passed 4 deer that were probably 115, 125 range last year under my tree, basically just picture perfect hunts that anybody would have done it, but I passed them just hoping he'd be behind them. There was several mornings that I'd be hunting on one bench or part of the ridge, and then my camera would go off and he'd be 300 yards away from me on another bench in the daylight coming up chasing does. I'm just like, crap, he's going the other way or something, or just it was just a cat and mouse game. Just I was here, he was there. One morning walking in before daylight, I was about 200 yards from where I was going to climb up, and one of my cameras on a big scrape. I do a lot of mock scrapes too during the rut, and he was the man on the mountain, and he didn't like any other bucks coming through. I'm big on native scents. I don't know if y'all tried it. I do a lot of their products. I started last year, and
A little war party?
Yeah, a little war party.
Yeah.
The tacky, everything. I've tried it, and he didn't like any. I mean, he liked it, but he didn't like it up there just because he was the king of the mountain. He didn't want any other bucks around. I had this buck. I had pictures of him last year. It was just early season because as soon as the rut came, big boy on the mountain and everything else. I had a bunch of 115, 120s would kind of be cruising around, but as far as dominant bucks, he was the only one that stuck to the area. One morning I went in, it was, I guess, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was hiking up, I was about 200 yards from where I was going to climb, and my camera went off, and it was him. He was less than 200 yards away from me, and I'm sitting there on the side of the mountain trying to, all right, video mode, trying to see what he's doing, just request videos to see which way he's going. I don't want to bust him. I'm just sitting there waiting on him to do what he's going to do, and finally the video uploads, and crap, he turned. He's walking my way. So all I did, it was pitch black, probably 45 minutes before daylight. I'm sitting there, and I hear him coming up the ridge, and I know it was him, and my camera just told me it was him coming up to me, and I'm just sitting there. I try not to use flashlights. I try to navigate by the moon for the most part, or use a red light. I try to not let anything know of my presence, but he came up roughly about 30 yards from me, and he knew something was up. He didn't blow. I just heard him stomp. I couldn't see him. I just heard him stomp, and he just trotted off down the ridge, and didn't get him on camera again for probably close to a week after that. I knew
that's the 187.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
It was sickening.
Which again, he was bigger last year.
Yeah, that's
because he posted trail cam photos, and he was definitely bigger.
Yeah,
last
he was
year.
last year. He grew mass this year. I feel like he was more massive, but you can put side by side pictures of him where he looks almost identical. You would think he would have changed a little bit. Last year he had a drop tine. It was about 4 inches, right there where the hole in the horn is. Mm-hmm. He had about a 4-inch drop tine, but he broke it off around Halloween last year. So that was kind of a bummer, but he was still just an incredible deer. It didn't matter if he broke it off or not. But yeah, it was definitely a gut-wrenching moment when I had him so close before daylight, and he knew something was up. The wind wasn't that great. I knew it was. I mean, it's always swirling. So he knew something was up, and then after that, he disappeared for probably a week before I got another picture of him. He knew something was up, but like I said, I stayed hard at it for 14 days straight. Passed a lot of good deer. Like I said, saw him twice. Had some close encounters, and then after that main, seems like about a 10, 12-day rut period of them actually hardcore, it started dying down, and then started seeing more pressure of other people, started seeing more cameras. That's everybody in the area knows that's when the rut is, and I kept them top secret. Nobody, my buddies knew I was hunting a big deer, but I wouldn't tell them where I was, and if I did, I'd tell them the wrong place. I'd tell them another mountain, like, oh, I'm hunting over here or something, just to deter anybody from where I was. But
trust no one. Sorry, Andrew, I'm not hunting big deer.
But like I said, I met a couple guys up there that had pictures of them that I'd talked to, and
were those guys coming in by private, or were they walking along?
They were coming in by another private access and coming up. But I met them, and it was just kind of like, you could tell we all wanted to talk about something when I talked to them, and then finally they broke. So, have you got a picture of the monster up there? And I was like, I got some big deer on camera. He said, well, if you say one word, I'll know which deer you're talking about. And I said, drop tine. He said, yep, that's him. I'm like, yeah. It was early season before he broke the drop tine, so I knew they were after him. I'd seen other cameras around, so I know other people knew about him. I assumed they knew about him, so I knew he was pressured. And then as the season went on, I kept seeing more and more illegal stuff going on. I was seeing more corn piles, seeing more full-wood tracks, and he just went back into ghost mode, back into nocturnal. I'd only get him once every week or two on camera. I knew he was still alive, but it was just he just disappeared, basically. He went into whatever hole and hung out the rest of the season. I basically quit hunting them mid-December. I was barely getting pictures of them. And I had other spots I wanted to hunt, and I'd spent so much time and so much effort on them. Deer depression is what I called it. I was sick to my stomach. I'm the guy that I'm usually tagged out by December or 1st of December. I usually hunt hard enough where I kill my 3 and then I'm done. But this last year I hadn't killed anything, so it was eating at me. And then he just turned into a ghost. So I basically just called it quits on him. I was afraid. I was confident nobody else was going to kill him. He was smart enough, and I knew if I couldn't get him on camera, if I couldn't find him, then nobody else probably was either. So I just had to basically call it quits mid-December before Christmas time. And then with my work schedule, how it works, I don't actually get vacation time. It's basically you're swapping time with the guy opposite of your shift. So I would take off all of Thanksgiving, and then he'd hit me back for all of Christmas time. So I would come mid-December, I'm working every night. Don't have much time to hunt. I'm just I pretty much give up, like, what's today, the
28th?
Yeah, This is my, I think, 14th night straight of working. I haven't hunted in 2 weeks. I'm just steadily working every night. I'm running off 2 hours of sleep right now. I worked last night.
Oh, man.
But, so I basically gave up on them last year. And then late season, me and some buddies, we all go down South Alabama and change it up and hunt flatland, that rut down there. But that's a different story, I guess. But so I had all that intel on them. I feel like I knew the deer pretty well. I knew if I was going to kill them, it would have to be early season or during the rut. So this year came around. I started putting out cameras in the summertime, and boom, I got him on camera. I knew he was alive. It was such a big relief knowing that he was still out there. I was actually started getting pictures of him in one of the closer hubs, which was a big bonus. I wasn't having to hike as far in. It was only about a 1.8 miles, I think, versus last year the spot he hung out in the most was, I think, 3.2 miles. So it was almost half the distance. I was like, hell yeah, he's closer. A lot easier to get into, but I wanted to play it smarter this year. I'd learned the lay of the land so well last year. I knew everything I wanted to know about the terrain and how to navigate it. Like I said, I stay on Onyx. I've got every filter possible turned on. I love the terrain feature because that helps me. The deer seem like they use the terrain feature, the red and the green and the different
the slope angles,
slope angles and all that. Because
that's one thing I wanted to ask. Based off the history you had last year, but all these other bucks you had on camera, was he doing stuff completely different how he navigated compared to other deer, and it was just hard to put a pattern to it, or was he using the terrain like other deer? You just were either a step ahead of him or behind him.
It seemed like he was using it like other deer for the most part, but he, like I said, last year he traveled so much, it was just hard to pinpoint where he was, and I'm sure he knew I was on to him a little bit because I was spending so much time up there to where he wasn't ever just hanging out in a certain spot too long. He was always just jumping around the mountain. Like I said, I'd get pictures of him 2-3 miles apart in the same night. Like he was traveling. So this year I just knew the hubs that he was most likely hanging out in. And luckily the closest one is when I first started getting pictures of him. So I just swarmed it up with cameras. I had, I think, 6 cell cameras that I first started getting pictures of him, and it was an hour before daylight during August, September. So I knew he was coming in and out of that one. I knew he was close at least. So I started putting cameras all out and just trying to minimize my time up there. I didn't want to pressure it. I knew the lay of the land, so I was just going to try to play it smart. And like I said, I knew it was either going to be early season or the rut. I wasn't going to spend a whole lot of time in between. I'm a big believer in the calendar year type aspect, where if a buck's going to do it on this day, I've killed a lot of deer by being in the exact same spot that they were last year, the year before, if I've got historical data with them. That's that piebald deer, just a different deer. It just seems like they're gonna do the exact same thing within the same 2 or 3 day time frame, especially during the rut. So I knew I needed to be those 10 days that I was basically hunting last year. I knew I needed to be in there those 10 days, but I knew which spots to pinpoint on that he daylighted in, and just kind of narrowed it down a little bit more for me. But early season, I figured out the main hub he was in. He didn't travel at all this year. I kept putting cameras out deeper and deeper in the spots he was last year, and I wasn't getting them. He wasn't going to those spots. I was finding sign of other people further down that side of the mountain, so I don't know if he was being pressured back to this other area more or less. So early season comes around September. It's October 1st when bow season comes in. Mid-September, I was getting them every night. I'd focus my cameras around this one hub, this one big bunch of drainages all came together. There was a bunch of mountain laurels down in it. Like I said, it's just impossible to hunt. The winds swirl. I was afraid to get down in it because I didn't want him to know I was around at all. I was just trying to play it safe. So all the exit routes, all the benches, all the drainages up top, up above it, I just swarmed with cameras, and 2 weeks before season, I was getting them every night. an hour before daylight. He'd come out, or he'd go back in an hour before daylight, and then he'd come out an hour after dark at night. Every night I was getting him, so I knew he was close. And he was traveling with this buck a lot. He had another 8-point, another big-bodied 8-point. He was a mature deer. He was probably only score 115, 120, but he was a 200-plus pound deer. He was a big, old deer that he was best friends with. If you saw one of them, you saw the other one all during the summer. He was always with him, but then some nights he'd be in the same picture frame with him. I found one feed tree, one big white oak coming out of the drainage that he would hit most of the time, more often than not, that I'd get an hour before dark or whatever. And this deer was a little bit more regular. In the evenings, I guess about a week before bow season came in, I was getting him every evening, an hour before daylight or hour before dark, coming up eating white oak acorns. So I knew I'd kind of set sights that if I could get a shot at him, I would. I wasn't going to be as picky as last year. I didn't want to put all my eggs in the one basket, but last year I had pictures of this deer during bow season. He was a 10-point. It was probably a 130-inch 10-point. He got a little bit wider this year, but I knew shortly after bow season, he disappeared last year, and I never got a picture of him again. So I knew he'd probably leave once the rut started getting close, because the big buck was the dominant of that area. So week before bow season comes in, he's coming in an hour before, 30 minutes to an hour before dark. And then big boy would come out behind him an hour after dark. So it was kind of a what do I do type of thing. Opening day comes around, and I just said, hell, that I've got to go up there and just to see they're both coming in close enough to shooting light that I'm just going to see what happens. I go up there opening day. This was before time change, so it got dark around 6:15, I guess, whatever it is. It seems like right now it's about 5, so it was a little after 6. But about 3:30 in the afternoon, I had 4 or 5 does come feeding up the drainage and coming up feeding around the tree, and watched them feed off up the ridge behind me. And they get just barely out of sight, and I hear something trotting up the ridge, up the drainage to me, and I look down, and all I saw were wide horns. It all happened so fast that I wasn't sure if it was the giant or him coming up. I first see him at probably 60, 70 yards coming up. I mean, it's just straight up incline the bluff he's coming up, just coming straight to me. I'm sitting 15 yards from the feed tree that he's coming to. He starts coming up. He gets to about 20 yards. He's still just facing me. And I just go ahead and draw back. Stood up, draw back, just waiting for him to come. I just waiting for him to give me a shot. He gets to about, I think, 6 yards, just basically right under me, still just straight at me. I didn't want to spine him. I was waiting for him to turn, and I guess his sixth sense kicked in, and he knew something was up, and he stopped and kind of bounced back to about 15 yards, looking around. He was alert. I don't know if he caught my wind or what, but he gave me that. Luckily I was already drawn back. If I wasn't already drawn back, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But he turned broadside and made one last look back with his nose up, trying to figure out what was going on before he went down. And I just put it on his shoulder and squeezed off and hit him perfect right behind the shoulder, and he just dove right back off the bluff that he came up. It all happened so fast. I was fairly confident it was this deer, but then I called my wife. I was like, I just shot a big one. I don't know. I don't think it was a giant. He didn't look that big, but I mean, this deer,
It was big.
It's a big deer.
10 yards, 140-inch deer.
That's a big deer.
It looks damn big. And,
We're Alabama boys. Let's be
that's
honest
what
here.
we're not used to it.
Yeah, all you guys in the Midwest don't be making fun of us. We're not used to that circumstance.
We're used to 115-inch deer. Gets me shaking.
Yeah.
So this deer coming up that close, I was rattled pretty good. He ran off. he crashed. He was just crashing. I could hear it. He was making all kind of noise, and then it just stopped. I heard a big crash, and it just stopped. And this was, I mean, he came in at 4, well, after 4. I mean, it was still good daylight, left a good hour and a half of daylight. I couldn't believe he came in that early. Like I said, I'm roughly a little over 2 miles deep. So I give him some time. It's hotter than heck outside. I'm swatting mosquitoes the whole time. I give him probably 30, 40 minutes. I climb down, find some blood, go to the direction that I thought he went into. Lost blood, couldn't figure it out where he went. Like I said, it all just happened so fast. And I mean, I only saw him for 10 yards after he ran. He just went straight back down. So I was just going by the sounds I heard to try to figure out which way he went. And I went around and more to my left and finally found some more blood and went and found him where he had just head on crashed into this big tree. I took pictures of it where he knocked bark off this tree where he center punched it, just ran right into it. He broke his back. He hit it so hard.
Whoa.
Like the arrow killed him. I put it right behind the shoulder, man. It was a hard shot, but the tree indefinitely killed him. His back was broke. And he was just piled up, man, just head into the tree. Like I said, I'm tickled to death. It was my biggest bow buck in Alabama, on cloud 9. But like I said, he went straight up. Like,
is he on the right side? Is he on the side of the mountain where it's downhill, or is he?
I have to go back up.
Oh, of course he did.
Like I'm hunting terrible. Like my spot's terrible. Like I had the worst access. I mean, it was good because I had access, but it was the worst access to hunt this area. I had talked to the landowners all on that side of the mountain. And I couldn't get easement from anybody. They all hunted. Nobody wanted me up there. I have a little bit of reputation around the community as a buck killer, so it's hard for
they're like, I don't want that guy.
I don't want Josh on my place.
Yeah, I get that a lot. So he's off in the bluff. I gutted him. I try to start dragging. I'd drag a few feet and he'd slide back down. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, I gotta pack him out. It was getting dark. I cut them all up. I have a pack frame that I hack into. Like I said, I leave climber stage, but then I have a little light pack frame just in case. I had brought it in with me and got him all cut up, caped, because I knew I wanted him out, and I caped him out and got his hindquarters and back straps, and his shoulders were pretty messed up, but I got some of his shoulder meat and I packed it all up. And by this time it was about an hour after dark, roughly. Big boy shows up, but I'm off the bluff, maybe 75 yards from my camera and climber up here. I get him on my back, turn my flashlight on, start to trudge back up the hill until my phone go off. Look in my pocket, big boy, 75 yards.
Oh my gosh.
Up at the top of the hill, or on the bench right there from me. I turn my headlamp off, and like I said, it's dark, can't do nothing. Just stand there. I'm just standing. I get, I think, 4 pictures of him where every picture he's looking off down the bluff at me. I know that my wind's good and I smell like a deer because I deer's on my back. But I get several pictures of him and then no more. He never blew, never did anything. So I was like, crap, maybe he didn't know nothing. And he definitely wouldn't expect a human to be coming up out of here, I don't think. So I thought I was pretty good as far as not spooking him. So I went ahead and packed him out. It took me probably 2.5, 3 hours to get him out. Thought I died 3 times getting out of there. It was rough. You think packing them out would be easier. It is in some aspects, but then all that weight on your back, and like I said, I'm walking straight up rocky bluffs where the ground moves beneath you. It's just hard to keep your footing, and especially if I had my gun still, or not my gun, my bow still with me. I left my climber there. I wasn't gonna tote it out too, but so get him out, and just nerve-wracking thinking that, crap, that I'm super happy that I killed him. Couldn't have been more happy, but then in the back of my mind, crap, did I bust that deer out of here? Is he on to me now? what do I do? Get him out, and so I leave it alone for a couple days, and then I guess it was about 3 nights later I get him back on camera in that same spot. So I knew he was still there. Then just back to regular again every morning, an hour before daylight he'd come out, and then every night after dark he'd go, or vice versa, whatever. He'd come out and go back down an hour before dark. So I knew he was still in there. I tried to all I was going to do was like, all right, well, early season's pretty much over with now. I can't get a daylight picture of him, so I'm just going to wait till the rut and I know where I need to be when that week comes. So I just basically stayed out of there. I'd still hike around midday some days just to try to make sure he's not traveling anywhere else, but couldn't get him on any of my cameras, any of the spots he was at last year. Couldn't get him. He was just staying confined to this one bottom, basically, it seemed. But like I said, I was just afraid to hunt it. I was getting them so regular that I didn't want to blow them out. I was afraid. I was just nerve-wracked. I was just afraid to go in after him. I wanted to wait till the right time. I knew a deer that big and smart, he would know as soon as I got down in there. I felt like.
All right, so you killed the 145 in both opening day of both season up there.
140.
140. Sorry.
You can round up to 141, I guess.
Next thing we know, Andrew's like, so tell us about this 200-inch buck.
We hadn't had him scored again yet, so he might grow. I don't know.
So you kill him, and then, like you said, you like to focus on early season and then rut because that's just when you're going to have him on camera. So you basically didn't hunt in there for like a month. Then,
yeah,
right?
I left it pretty well alone just because I didn't want to spook him. And like I said, I was getting him every night on camera to where I knew he was there. I was just biding my time for the right time frame. Like I said, I know when the rut happens there. I knew what he did last year. I was just using my data that I learned on him to know when I should try to capitalize on it.
One thing, and I just now thought about this. You said just previously a few minutes ago that you try to dive off that bluff and you end up blowing some deer out, deer blowing and stuff. But the day, or ever how many days beforehand, first day of bow season, second day of bow season, whenever you shot the 140, some does came out of that same spot.
Yeah.
Was he consistently bedding around some of these does and other deer? Because it doesn't sound like he was always by himself.
He rarely was ever by himself. Like I said, he had another buck, another mature buck that I was surprised he spent so much time with. He was an anomaly for his size. I feel like he dwarfed every deer on that mountain, height-wise. Mm-hmm. There were some big body deer up there, but he still stood 6 inches taller. He's just long-legged. He was just a big frame deer. His frame was so much bigger than any other deer. But the deer he ran with all year, easily 215, 220 pounds, I would think, just a tank of a deer, old deer. Mm-hmm. Just wasn't, horn-wise, just wasn't, his body made him look smaller, and he made him look smaller, but he was still a 115, 120-inch 8-point that he ran with all year long. But like I said, if one of them showed up, the other one showed up. I've got pictures of him bedded. Like I said, I was getting them every night. I snuck one camera down deeper into the hub. I found in the drainages there was one little wet spot where an underground stream would come up. There wasn't much water up there, but I found one little. It was just always wet. It was just a little bit of standing water, and I found a bunch of tracks all around it where they were coming into the drainage. I could tell the deer were using that to drink, so I put a camera on it, and I was getting him pretty much every night or every other night. I was getting him on several cameras, but he was hitting this one a lot. But it was so cool to see that right behind the little wet spot was a bunch of mountain laurels, and I'd found some beds just right there, so I'd put the camera angled to where I'd get the water and the beds. And I think it's probably 5 or 6 nights I had him bedded in front of the camera with the other 8-point for 6-8 hours at a time at night. It's weird. It's just, during the daytime they're going to be bedding and not moving. Like I said, this year he wasn't traveling much at all anymore. But I've got pictures of him with that other 8-point bedded up side by side each other. They'd come in a couple hours after dark. I mean, I'd have them from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, not moving. Just they might shuffle around a little bit, but stayed bedded in that one spot. So it just makes you realize how little they actually move if they don't want to, I guess. But
Did y'all have we had that drought last year.
Yeah.
We had around here we had a terrible mast year. We had very few acres.
Very few acres. This year it was.
Do you think that's why that is?
I really don't know how to contribute it. I know there was a lot of food and a lot of acres. Like I said, there was not many white oaks up there, but the mountain oaks, and then it's usually this time of year when the water oaks and the red oaks start hitting those. So, but there was a lot of acorns on the ground, so I'm sure that contributed to his movement, I would assume.
I was talking to a guy at the Mobile Hunters Expo this past August, who we're going to have on the podcast, and that was in this past August. So we were getting ready to go into this deer season. We were talking about the mast crop. I mean, this dude showed up to the show with a backpack full of acorns. He's like, "Look at all these that I found," and he was like, "On years like this, the deer can really just be where they want to be. Like, they're not limited. They don't have to go travel as far because there's food everywhere and there's water everywhere." So, because I was asking him like what his thoughts were, because he hunts mountains too, but he's in Georgia, and I was like, do you think it's going to change a lot from last year? You think they're going to be locked down? Because I had the deer I'm going to try to kill this week. I was hunting him last year, and he was all over the place last year, like what you were talking about. He'd be a mile over here, and then he'd be 2 miles over here, and then he'd be way over here, and he was just ping-ponging around. I'm like, how am I ever going to kill this thing? And this year, it hadn't been like that at all. Yeah. I've had him on like 2 cameras only.
That makes sense. I mean, that's what I've also heard, like last year with the drought and the antler growth this year. Like, I couldn't believe how he stayed so close to the same. His antler growth this year from last year and this one, they didn't change much. They didn't grow a lot of inches, I guess, but I'd heard from people like with this year with the mast crop that next year's antlers ought to be primo because they're of all the nutrition they got from this year. So I'm interested to see how that works out after seeing how this mast crop from this year turns out. But yeah, I've got pictures of him with that other 8-point bedded down in camera, and I've never seen it. And I never would imagine a deer of that caliber doing it, but I've got pictures of him I can show you where he is. I've got a golden retriever and I've had labs, and you know how they sleep, just on their side, just sprawled out, head on the ground. I've got tons of pictures of him, head on the ground, on his side, looking dead, just passed out, while the other buck is right next to him with his head up. I guess he relied on the other buck to stay alert, but I've never seen a deer do that. Or I've got pictures of him on his side, head in the mud, basically. Antlers, you can see his antlers sticking up off the ground. Just there's something. The first night I did it, I saw him do that. I was like, "Crap! Is he hurt? Is he
Is he dead?
Is he dead?
Is he dead?
Like, did he die in front of my camera?" And then I'd see him shift around because my camera would only go off whenever they would shift around because they were staying so still. So I'd have a picture of him, and then an hour later, I was like, "Crap! They must not be there anymore." And then an hour later, you could see where one of them just shifted a little bit, and my camera would go off, and that's where I could see they were still there. But yeah, some nights 6-8 hours in front of my camera, just bedded down in that little patch of laurel thicket. But like I said, it's cool to see any deer act that way, but a deer of this caliber have his guard down that much, just relying on his buddy, I guess, to let him know if anything was coming.
His battle buddy was watching out for him until Josh killed him. Till the rut. Well, one thing I wanted to ask, because we're about to get into like you actually getting after this deer in November, were you finding any comparable sign that made you think it was him making it up there?
There really wasn't much sign. I haven't seen a lot of sign this year. I saw more sign last year, but I like hunting sign. Don't get me wrong, but in my head, most sign is done at night. I try to figure out their travel routes more, where they're coming to get to that spot. I love finding signs. Don't get me wrong, so I know they're there. But in this spot where I killed them and where I'm hunting, you wouldn't think it was really anything special just because the sign wasn't there. But I just from historical data, from knowing that he was going to be in this area, and then the camera footage that I did have of him, just to know that he was around. But if you didn't know what I know, you wouldn't. Most people would just walk right by this spot.
Well, that's why I want to ask. That's why I wanted to ask, because, and what I mean by just like finding big rubs or destroyed scrapes is to even say that like maybe there is a big enough deer. Because we've had tons of guys on the podcast that are killers and they're trying to find comparable sign to what they think's in the area or what their bucks are on camera.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, like you weren't finding any like giant rubs or anything like that.
I mean, there's some decent rubs up there, but nothing. I mean, nothing that makes you just say, golly, I need to be like right here. No real big rub lines. I mean, you have just scattered here and there. I mean, there just really wasn't many scrapes that I found up there this year. Just, and I don't know if a deer of this caliber affects that, whether or not he keeps the sign out from other bucks, so that nothing else, if he kind of deters other deer from it. I really don't know how that works as far as his dominance. If he, like I said, as soon as the rut came around or was getting there, most bucks disappeared from that area. I'd get some smaller 2 and 3 year old bucks passing through, but surprisingly, he hung out with that other buck, his buddy, pretty much up until the time I killed him.
But no big sign. And that's what I'm trying to get for the audience members and listeners. This buck's living in an area, a deer of this caliber, and even that caliber, but there's no real sign that would tell you there's a giant living in this area.
Not.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That make you feel better?
Yeah, it gives me hope, because the spot I'm going to hunt tomorrow, we're getting sidetracked. We're about to talk about how this all went down, but the place I'm going to go hunt tomorrow, where this deer I'm trying to kill lives, there's like 5 bucks in there I want to shoot, but there's one like really nice one. I went to it probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, just to like make sure my tree was picked out, like figure out exactly where I needed to go. And there's like 3 rubs in there, and 2 scrapes about that big around. But then I put these 2 cameras out, and there's been 5 shooters in daylight up there in the last week and a half.
Jeez.
And I'm just like, and it's been 75 degrees.
But again, it's like you go in there and you don't find, it looks good, but you don't find any sign that would tell you there's, like, they're not that.
Well, I'll tell you what is in there. There's a bunch of does in there.
Yeah.
Does. So anyways, how did this go down with this deer? So you transition into the rut. It's time to go and hunt this deer. Yeah. How did it go down?
So I knew where he was pretty much, his bedroom was. Like I said, I was getting him every night. The deer density up there isn't that great. There's only, from what all the time I've spent up there, I could really only count maybe 2 small groups of does that were regularly up there. There was a group of 4 or 5 in one side of the mountain that I would see regular, and then further down the mountain I'd see another small group, but there wasn't really, it's just not covered up in deer. There's not a whole lot of does. I don't know if, I've always heard that closer to the rut, all the does go down closer to the private lands where there's actually more food and more stuff to draw them towards maybe, but there just really wasn't, really not a whole lot of doe sign, or I didn't ever see that many does. I saw more during bow season than I ever do during gun season. So I was getting them every night. I knew the area, or his bedroom that he was in, I thought it was just impossible to hunt just because I didn't want to blow him out. I was just going to wait him out until he came out and just hope I was at the right exit, because last year we just played cat and mouse on which ones he came out of, and this year he was honed into this one, so I felt pretty confident. I just waited to the right time, and he would eventually come out on one of the drainages out of one of the exits up on one of the benches around it. So I was just going to wait and bide my time. I needed a north wind regardless to hunt it, just so, because I like to be above them in those mountains. I don't like being below them. I'd rather be up above them. And I climb high, because I take a climber everywhere. I prefer to find a pine tree where I can get 30 feet up. I'm kind of old school on that ideology of the higher the better. I try not to get so high in the canopy where it messes up my shots, but as high as I can get, I get. So November, like I said, the 12th to 15th range is when I knew I needed to be in there. November 10th rolled around, and we had a real big cold front come through. It was the first cold front we had. It was in the 20s. It was a 25, 30 mile an hour north wind this was a Monday. And so Sunday, that was my weekend off. I had to work Monday night. I'd been off all weekend, spending time with the family, and I was just waiting. I said, all right, this cold front's coming in. I just had just a feeling that this is my one time to, if I can get down into his bedroom, this might be the only time I can get down in there with this strong north winds. They're not really going to swirl so much that it's going to keep my wind blowing one direction for the most part. I had found several other people's cameras that week before around the mountains. I was getting really anxious I was feeling the pressure that I needed to, if I was going to do something, I needed to do it before he started roaming. I needed to kill him at the beginning of the rut before he started being stupid and running in front of somebody else up there. So I told my wife, I was like, I just have a feeling I just need to be down in there in the morning. I'm just going to throw a Hail Mary and go down into this hub, into this mountain laurels that I thought he was coming out of. All these drainages came together. Last year I scouted down in there a little bit, so I kind of knew what it looked like down in there, but I stayed out of there this year just because I was afraid of bumping them. So I went in well before daylight. I started hiking up. Start going down. I mean, the wind is just gusting on top of that mountain. Like, it's 25 mile an hour, they claim, but it felt like 50 on top of that mountain. Like, it was awful. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. Just wasn't sure. But I was like, hell, I'm up here. I'm just going to try it anyway. So I started going off into the drainages where he would always be coming up from. It was just starting to get kind of gray light where I could see just a barely bit. I was trying to pick out which tree I wanted to climb and see where I wanted to be able to see the most distance in there because it's pretty thick. So I find a pine tree that's overlooking the drainages, and it's a bunch of privet, Mount Laurels or whatever, all below me. And I climb up. Looks awesome. Looks picture perfect. All these drainages kind of come all below me within 50 yards. Kind of they all meet. One of them goes up behind me to the right. Just rocky. Just looks like, I don't know. It's just different looking with all that. It looked like something a deer would be in.
Looks like where a big buck would be.
Yeah, it just looks good in there. And I was able to sneak down in there quietly because of the wind. Nothing busted, nothing blew out. I was on my way down through there. I climb up. My little boy, he wakes up at the crack of dawn. He's a 4-year-old. He gets up at 5:30 every day morning. So him and my wife were texting me. They guess they both had a good feeling about it. They were texting me. My little boy sent me a little FaceTime message saying good luck, and he drew me a picture of me killing a big buck. He drew a picture of a deer and everything, and I was like, all right, this is good omen. Daylight comes in. I hadn't been in the stand 10 minutes. I climbed up right before daylight. Climbed up. It was just getting good light where I could see. I hear something coming out of the laurels, and here comes a doe. And she's by herself. She's not acting weird, but she's by herself, and that's kind of threw me off a little bit. But she just comes working up the drainage. She comes 15 yards from me, walks right up. I pull out my phone because I'd been texting my little boy. I pull it out and start videoing her so I could send it to him to show him how close that I'd already seen a deer and just how close I could, so he could see it. And I started filming, and I was like, I might need to put my phone back in my pocket. I might, just in case something's following behind her. And I didn't even have a chance to. It was halfway in my pocket, and I looked back behind her, and I see horns coming through the laurels. And so I'm scrambling, put my phone in my pocket and get ready. And like I said, it's rifle season. It was November 10th, early season, so it comes in a little earlier than everywhere else. So I threw up my gun and put it in my scope, and all I see is the side of his horns.
Here, pick him up.
Go ahead and pick him up.
Yeah.
Everyone on YouTube's about to be like, oh my gosh.
This is him. in all his glory. I have the best taxidermist around. That's the only reason I'm able to have him back this soon. But yeah, November 10th, he came following a doe.
What did you see? I mean, you said you saw horns. Could you see his whole rack, or was it?
I saw this side. I just saw this side moving through the laurels, and like I said, I'm on top of all this stuff. I'm close quarters, so he's 50, 60 yards when I see him. I see all this rack coming, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's him. And I threw my gun up, put it on him, and he's just steadily walking straight to me, just like this deer did. And I can't get a shot. It's thick. The wind is just howling. It's blowing right in my face. It's perfect. I knew he wasn't going to smell me. The doe comes 15 yards under me, and she starts walking up that drainage that comes in, goes up to my right, back behind me. And he's just following the same trail she did, about 50 yards behind her. Just not pushing her, just following behind her, keeping an eye on her. Nose to the ground a little bit, but just really just walking and easing. Like I said, it's 10 minutes after daylight. I hadn't even gotten comfortable yet. He comes through there, and I'm afraid. I want to stop him because he's getting so close, but it's thick. And then I knew with that wind, I would pretty much have to yell to get him to stop. And then I was just, in my mind, I was like, I don't want to yell. I don't want to alert him, because my luck, he'd stop behind a tree or something and then booger out if I yelled. So I just kept letting him come.
Here, Josh, put him back down real quick. Dude, that deer is insane. By the way, for the YouTube audience, this deer is like sitting on top of his foot. Like, this ain't long arming or anything. I mean, this deer is just insanely gigantic.
I can long arm like this.
I mean, oh my gosh.
But yeah, he follows the same route that doe did. I shot him at, I think it was roughly 15 yards. I put it on him. I didn't stop him. He's just slowly walking. I just put it on the opening that he was walking through. Saw shoulder squeezed off, and he ran about maybe 20 yards and piled up all in sight right there. And then at this time, I was about to fall out of my tree. I was just in shock that it happened that quick. And
So let me ask this first off. Audience members looking at me through his rack right now. But
Here, you can set him back down on the ground right here.
was it a frontal shot you had to take on him? Like,
no, I let him keep coming, and he walked just broadside right and down below me in front of me. Like I said, it was about 15 yards. So I just put it, I mean, it was, I wish I had my bow.
No, okay, listen, I was going to ask you. No, hold on. So listen, as a diehard gun hunter myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the gun. But I was going to ask you if there was a part of you like, dang it, I wish I had my bow.
I wish I did, but then I also don't know if I could have drawn back on him. I feel like that would have, I mean, he took my breath from the moment I saw him. So
Yeah.
I don't know how hard my bow would have been to pull back.
Did you tell your wife that the first time you met her? She took her breath away?
Oh, yeah.
I hope it wasn't just the butt.
We had a memorable first date. That's a story for another time. But yeah, I'm a killer. I don't care what weapon I use as long as it's legal. I love bow hunting, but that's just because I can hunt earlier with a bow. But as soon as gun season comes in, I got a gun. I'm not one of those. I'm not that sporty where I'd rather bow hunt during gun season. No, I'm here to kill a deer. I want to use whatever advantage I can at my disposal to kill a deer. So, but yeah, I would have loved to kill him with my bow, but I don't regret not taking my bow.
Same here. Same.
'Cause
I've never.
that would have never happened if I would have taken.
No,
my bow.
that's exactly what would happen. You take your bow and you'd be like, he'd never come or blow or whatever.
Yeah. I've never killed a deer and been like, man, I wish I'd have shot him with a bow.
Yeah.
Never.
I'm just thrilled. They're so hard to kill,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're talking about Alabama public land in the mountains, 2-mile walk. It's hard enough, man.
Oh yeah, everything's against you already. That's why. I mean, I think I bow hunted up there. I mean, I killed him on the first day of bow season, and I bow hunted a couple more times up there. But it's just really not, unless you just have that confidence in that spot, and And then after I killed him, it was him or nothing. I wasn't going to shoot anything else. So
Yeah.
I really wasn't going to risk anything with my bow.
So me and Jacob are fighting over questions now. I've been holding on to this one for a little bit because you said something earlier that really piqued my interest. You said that you really like to use that slope angle shading on Onyx, and you made the comment, hey, it seems like the deer kind of use it too almost.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
The deers in those mountains, I mean, they're going to use the path of least resistance too, it seems like. I mean, I like to use that slope shading and whenever most of it's all red up there.
Yeah.
But then once you can see some of the fingers that are a little bit green and all, and it seems like from my homework, a lot of those deer, I mean, they use that. It's like they've got the Onyx topo too. They use that. I mean, they're going to walk the path of least resistance. They're going to follow a lot of those slope angles and all too. When I'm scouting and side hilling, as I call it, I like to get right on the edge of the red and where it might turn a little bit green, because that's where I seem like I see the most deer as far as when I'm walking in the sign. I feel like it's a lot on those transitions from super steep to a little bit less steep. It seems like they work those little bit of terrain edges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that we talked to a guy in Arkansas, Drew Atkinson, who hunts the mountains up there, and he says the same thing. And he was one of the first guys that I heard use that term, like terrain edge, because we'll talk to a lot of guys who will talk about a habitat edge, like a pine thicket transitioning into hardwoods or whatever the case may be, two habitat types meeting. But he was like, you can do the same thing with terrain. Mm-hmm. Like anywhere where there's like a real steep hill that maybe it's got a little flat on it, or where a really steep hill like runs into a saddle, or just whatever the case may be, just wherever it transitions from like a red shade or a yellow or even purple, like where it's bluffed out, to even like, again, I keep drawing it back to where I'm hunting this week, but where it transitions from red to even yellow.
Yeah.
Like that's usually, it's noticeable when you're standing there, you can look and see where that transition is, and there'll be a rub line on it or something.
Yeah. And that's you got to get your boots on the ground, because a lot of the times you see those, what might be something on a map, but until you get over there and actually walk on it, you'll see, oh, I call them benches, but a lot of the times they're not
flat.
30, 40 yards wide. I mean, it's just a little bitty, a little bit of a flatness, or just a little bit of a not so steep, that these deer that's what they like to make their sign on. That's what they like to come up out of, because a lot of these deer on this mountain, they don't travel up and down. They travel horizontally. So where a lot of those little bitty flat spots or benches, that's what a lot of the times they come up on.
So it's like a lot of times you're talking about like kind of like that drainage hub that he was living in a lot. These deer would come up those drainages and then hit one of those benches, slightly less steep areas, and then kind of run it around. But it's not like they're going over the top.
Yeah, it's not like they just kind of use that to scent check or, like I said, the main one they hit had a little white oak on it. That's one of the reasons they came up on it a lot. But especially during the rut, like that's where I would see most of the bucks cruising last year when I spent so much time in the woods out there. That's what I ended up focusing mainly on, those little bitty benches, because that's where all the bucks would come up out of those drainages, come up out of the hubs, and hit those little spots to see. I mean, that was really the only spots they could make scrapes, because there weren't many scrapes on vertical rock mountains. So anything that had a little bit of flatness, that's why I guess one of the reasons I don't see a lot of scrapes up there is because there's really not that good a terrain for them to make scrapes. So there's more. They're more like community scrapes, I guess, where they all hit the same ones. They're not really making a lot of their own scrape lines. They all hit the same ones and keep going down the mountain, it seems like.
Yeah, they're not trying to dig through rocks to make scrape. One thing, and this is a side note, and it, like more rhetorical question than anything, but like makes me think that more times than not, you may find more licking branches in some of those spots where you're not actually finding a worked ground, but like,
oh yeah,
it'd be pretty easy to walk by some licking branches that maybe some of these deer are hitting and they're just not working the ground because it's too rocky.
That's what I've got. A lot of my pictures that I make mock scrapes, but they don't pay much attention to the scrapes. I would always put them over overhanging limb, but I get so many buck pictures and so much activity just head up in the branches, just working those branches. But like I said, I always put that tacky and all that native scent stuff up in there too to make them do that. But
let me ask you about the mock scrapes, and then I want to talk about the measurable drag out with this deer. Because I remember asking, and actually I saw online when you posted it and everything that you drug out and you didn't pack it out, and I had questions.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
I still regret that, but I do and I don't.
Well, I do. I want to ask specifically about your mock scrapes because you said you've had a lot of success with mock scrapes.
Yeah.
First off, is there much of a pattern of where you like to put a mock scrape when it comes to terrain?
I really like, I guess, like I said, those benches, and then just any kind of, a lot of those side hill and those mountainside deer, there are definitive trails that they like to use that you can see a lot more versus flatland where they just kind of all over the place. But on those mountains, a lot of the times they do work the same little funnels and side trails and everything. So I mainly just focus on if I find a big travel route trail coming up out of a drainage or going across a bench or through a saddle, that's mainly where I put mock scrapes at, just the more community type places, and it's more just to get them to stop for a second. I'm not really expecting to draw and attract anything. Mm-hmm. It's more, a lot of the times deer walk by a camera, and these cameras aren't, especially cell cameras, they're not very fast. They're not gonna trigger every time something walks by, so all I'm trying to do is just make them stop for a second in front of it, just to give the camera time to maybe get a picture of them, to know that something is coming by. But yeah, mainly just the travel routes and just the crossings and saddles and just any time of terrain change and just where I can have a decent little scrape to.
Is there any species of tree or shrub that you've had more success putting scrapes on, mock scrapes on?
I like being and putting them around cedars if I can, because a lot of the times the main historical type rubs are on cedars up there.
Scrapes or rubs?
The rubs.
Okay.
So I like putting scrapes.
Oh, adjacent right there.
Yeah, right there next to them. And then if there's an overhanging branch near one, I like to put it like that, because a lot of the times those are the only mainly hit rubs that I can find are on cedars up there. You find them on some saplings here and there, but they're mostly just little branches, like little twigs, saplings. That's what's hard to know if there's a big deer. Like you said, it's hard to know if there's a big deer up there because the little bit of sign there is, and I mean any size deer could make. So it's kind of hard to judge sign by what could be up there. But
yeah, but putting the mock scrape around those cedars, I kind of can see that because it's already a focal point. Like they already come through there.
That's just one of those that just, I don't know. I know it's the scent type of thing off the cedars and all, anyways. But it seems like those are as far as putting them by rubs, I like to focus on cedars, and then if there is an overhanging branch next to one, that's where I try to put the camera angle to cover as much as I can, to where if it comes by any of that, it'll maybe stop them or get a picture of them. At least get them to slow down for a second.
I want to ask you about access too, because it sounds like coming in from this private parcel that you got, you're pretty limited as far as what direction you're able to come from. Like you got to come from that direction no matter what the wind is. Mm-hmm. So were you ever finding yourself having to do like some crazy J hook to get into an area where maybe your wind was just wrong and you had to like climb up and over the mountain and then drop all the way back down into a spot?
Yeah, that's what last year when I was in there so much, I never knew, and it went where he was traveling so much. This year it was a little bit easier because I had him kind of confined to one area to where it was actually worked to my benefit, to where he was on the opposite side of the mountain. So I was pretty safe the whole way up for the most part. But most of the way I access, I like to get to the very peak. A lot of the deer they'll cross it, but from what I've seen, they don't just sit there and walk that top peak of the mountain. So that's mainly how I get the distance in. Further down the mountain, I just walk the top of that mountain, and especially if I've got a good, like I said, most of that time I was hunting the other side of the mountain to where I needed a north wind, and it was just always perfect. If I'm walking that mountain, it's always windy, always loud, and never really had to worry about spooking much at that very crest of that mountain. And then I would just break off from there to wherever I wanted to go.
How much of it was focusing on does too, just trying to find doe groups or learning does?
It was, like I said, I could only find 2 definitive groups of does that were regular, and one was in one hub and one was in the furthest hub, and they kind of just worked back and forth. So I was basically, those 2 areas were the main areas that I honed in on during the rut, just because I knew that's where every time I sat there I would see does and they would come through. So like I said, it's all about, I guess, like I said, the historical data was all I'd used this year, just knowing what was there last year and what was being used and how they used it. But yeah, I mean, my camera showed does crossing all the time in there, so it was basically, I knew where I needed to be.
Yeah, no brainer at that point.
Yeah, that's what. And like I said, I played it as smart as I could this year, and I did so much work last year that I just knew where I needed to be when I needed to be there this year.
So, real quick, because I want to finish the story with this buck, and there's some other stuff I'd love to talk to you about. Talk about this drag out, because you are I don't know.
Glutton for punishment.
Glutton for punishment. That's what I was thinking. I mean,
I don't know. It makes it more worthwhile, I guess, though, too. The more work you put into it. I've killed a lot of deer on private land that easy drags and everything that, I mean, they just don't hold your heartstrings like they do on some of these public land deer when you work so hard. But yeah, I had so many pictures of him and so much history. My little boy was obsessed with him. I showed him pictures every day, every night. We'd wait for the camera to go off and talk about this deer, and it was special to both of us. And where I killed him at, like I said, it was uphill both ways. It was up the mountain and back down, and where I killed him at, it was a terrible spot, but I felt weird cutting up a deer of this caliber. I wanted to do everything I could to get him out, and he was the biggest body deer I've ever killed. I was really wanting to know how much he weighed, and like I said, I killed him 10 minutes after daylight, so I had all day long to do whatever I needed to do. I called into work that night because I hadn't called. I was like, I ain't coming in. I'm celebrating. So I knew I had all day. I've got one of those Hawk crawlers, those 4-wheel tandem wheel.
how
crawlers.
is it?
I love it.
Okay.
It's better on flatland. I need a set of handbrakes on it. That's if somebody could invent that with a set of handbrakes, it'd be perfect, because it rolls so easy, but coming up that big mountain, you pretty much just having to stop it on a tree to keep it from wanting to go back down. But yeah, I killed him so early, and I gutted him there, and I spent some time with him, and I was just reflecting. I mean, it was just a godly moment almost, just of all coming together. I couldn't believe I killed that deer, and I was just really in shock, and it was more of a moment decision, like, I'm gonna get this deer out whole. I want my boy to see him. I want to show him off. I want to show him in all his glory. I don't care what it's gonna take. I'm gonna do it. And I'm in good shape, guy. I can handle a good bit. So I took my stuff out, went back and got my cart. I gutted him. Started, man, like I said, it's just rocks uphill. It was terrible, but like I said, it was time in the woods next to this deer, and I don't know, it was just one of those feeling. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I just didn't care about the work behind it. I was just on cloud 9. I didn't care. I didn't feel how winded I was. I didn't care about how hard it was. It was a few feet at a time. I'd drag them, stop, drag them, stop. And I'd get 100 yards. I'd take a break, rest for a while. I'm in a secret spot where I don't tell anybody.
You can't take a buddy in there.
Where I'm at. Even my dad didn't know where I was. I tell my dad everything. He was he's the first person I called to tell him that I killed him. He's like, "Where the hell are you at?" And I was, well,
See, Dad, I can't tell you.
I was like, I don't know I don't want you hurting yourself getting back down in here. Basically, I told him I wouldn't tell him at first because he wanted to come help me, and I didn't. I mean, he's in good shape for his age, but hell, it hurts me to get him out of here. I didn't want to put my dad in in a bind. Most of my hunting buddies that I'm close to, we're all kind of spread out. Nobody's real close. And like I said, it was a Monday morning, so everybody's at work. I called a couple buddies. They couldn't come. I started calling around landowners on that side of the mountain. I'd already talked to all of them before. I'd already annoyed the crap out of most of them just because since day one of last year, finding this deer, I tried to find every access possible, calling everybody, trying to get better easement to get back here to him in case I did kill him, just to try to give me a better game plan. And obviously, I think the one guy that I thought would work out good, he had him on camera too, I think. So they were, like I said, you know how
A little upset.
they were upset is a good word, I guess. He wasn't happy that I'd killed him. I called him at 6:30 in the morning, like, hey man, I killed the giant up here. I don't know if he knew him or not, but I said I killed a giant up here. I need to get him out. Is there any way I could access through your property? And not going to share much of that story, but it was a big no on doing that, and never call me again type thing. We don't want you up there. But there's just more, you know how jealous the hunters can be, and especially a deer of this caliber. I mean, anybody would be upset if they were hunting them. But so I called around, I couldn't get access to get them out that way. And so I was like, all right, I'll just have to tough it out. And got them up about halfway. Took me probably about 3 hours to get them most of the way up the mountain. Like I said, I was taking my time. Was in no hurry. Just stopping every 100 yards or so and taking a break and admiring them and just taking more pictures and calling more buddies and just doing whatever to make it better. And by that time, my dad had done called me several times. Where are you at? Come in. He said, I don't care if I can't help. Just I want to be there. And I was like, all right, I understand. And sent him my pin. Get there and I said, all right, you're gonna go to this. I mean, he had no clue what even mountain range I was on. I kept it. He knew about the deer. I showed him pictures, but I didn't tell anybody where he was. I just didn't. I wanted him to be top secret. And so he got there, and I went ahead and met him at the top of the mountain. And first thing he's like, "What the hell are you hunting back here for?"
Like, look, Dad.
What are you doing back here? And I was like, this is why I'm back here. There's no other deer what I do this for. But yeah, he brought some couple big pull ropes, and like I said, I had that hawk crawler, and we just took turns of just dragging them up the rest of the way, and then got them up to the top. And luckily, going down is a lot better. You just basically
it's a control.
Yeah, it's a lot more control. You just ease them down, walk them down there. But yeah, it took roughly 6 hours to get them out. And I hurt for a week after that, it's being sore. But like I said, just seeing my little boy's face when he saw them and got them out, I was able to put them in the back of the truck and show them around a little bit and take them home and show them off. So it was hell in the moment, but it was all worth it in the end. To get them out. Like I've had a lot of flack. Why didn't you cut them up? Why didn't you? I mean, yeah, I do that too. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know. I made that decision. I wanted to get them out whole, and
it makes more sense after you told the story why. Yeah.
I don't know.
I respect you for doing it. Too.
Yeah, I wanted to respect the deer. I wanted to. My boy was excited about it. It was. I don't know. It was. Looking back now, I don't know if I would do things differently. I don't know. I said, I'm not hurting anymore. I'm probably
you didn't hurt
hurting
yourself
for a few days.
You didn't have to go see an orthopedic surgeon afterwards. You're good.
Luckily, I didn't kill myself or break anything or tear anything. But
how old is your boy, by the way?
He's 4.
Dude, that's such a cool memory.
And that's what is. Yeah, I'll never forget it. And like I said, next year he's sat in the woods with me a little bit, trying to get him acclimated to it. Like I said, he don't have the attention span yet to do a whole lot, and I definitely can't take him up in those mountains. So I'm glad I feel very fortunate I was able to get this done this year, because next year when I was planning on starting to focus more on him, and especially in the years to come. So I'm glad I was able to do this feat and get him before my attention swapped a little bit because, like I said, I'm a family man. Hunting's number 2 to me. I'm obsessed with it. I live, sleep, and breathe deer hunting and turkey hunting, but my family's number 1. They get all my attention if I need it. So that's what I'm just glad I was able to capitalize on all the work that I'd put into this deer that somebody else didn't get them, or that I'm also glad I didn't have to spend 14 days again up there on that mountain, because I'd already took off. That was, I had to work that Monday and Tuesday, but then after that, I'd already taken off 2 weeks, so I got to hang out at the house. I got to spend family time. My wife was tickled to death that I was home and being able to spend time with them instead of being in the woods for 2 weeks straight. So it all worked out good on the home front that I was able to.
That's awesome, man. You know, also just to kill a deer like that when you got a family at home, you're working swing shifts, like working 12-hour shifts. What do you think is the most important part about if someone's in a similar situation, which most guys are, where you've got limited time to hunt, you got a job, you got a family, just like using your time wisely? Like what are some tips that you'd have if somebody's maybe trying to target a specific deer or just trying to kill a really nice deer and they're limited on time like that? What do you think makes a difference, like as far as what they focus on?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my historical knowledge of the area and knowing when the rut was going to happen, knowing when I needed to be in the woods, I guess needed to focus my time. So that's, like I said, I don't hunt on weekends. I try to use my time wisely of when I'm in the woods. I'm not one of those, I'm not just gonna go hunt to be hunting and hope something shows up. I want to have confidence in a spot. I want to have a reason for why I'm there. I want to know that I'm there at the right time and I'm not just throwing it all on luck. I like to have everything in my favor as much as I can. That's why I do so much scouting, do so much. I'm not gonna, if I want to go, I'm gonna, I've got spots that are 100, 200 yards from the truck that look good, but I don't have confidence in them. That's what even after I killed him, I've been hunting several times. I'm still hiking 2 and 3 miles back in there, and people are like, why are you hiking that far? Why are you putting that much effort into it? I was like, well, if I'm gonna spend the time, I want to do it right, and I want to be where I think the good deer are gonna be. Not that I'm gonna top this one, but
You might.
I mean, I highly doubt it. I mean, there's some good deer in the area. Like I said, there's every now and then you hear of some 150s coming out, and that's what made me focus in on these mountains to try to pull one out. But yeah, they're up there. You just gotta, like I said, to be consistently good and to kill deer in that area, you gotta put in the time. I know a lot of hunters. I've seen a lot of guys kill good bucks off of luck, and I've seen a lot of good guys kill big deer off of knowledge and time, and the ones that consistently do it are the ones that put in the work, and that's what it's all about. I know a lot of people, I guess, get jealous or think there's a lot of luck involved, but no, I mean, if you put in the time and the work and do your due diligence, it will pay off. It will. It might be later than sooner sometimes, but
Well, that's, I think, kind of what you just said. That's why it's key to maybe lock down on an area and just learn it really, really well. Because especially today, and we're like so guilty of this ourselves, but wanting to bounce around and travel and like hunt this area, hunt that area and everything, and hunt this property, hunt that property. But when you really buckle down and learn something, like I've just noticed with myself trying to do that these last 2 or 3 years, it's made a big difference for me. When you can actually, you're not just going out and hunting randomly every time. Like you're kind of informed on what's going on in the area or where you need to be. You have something to go off of, and so you can get a little bit better every time, a little bit more informed, maybe a little bit more accurate with how you're predicting they're going to move. Because man, I used to travel a lot more than I do now, and
bouncing around will hurt your feelings a lot, especially with cell cameras and all that now. I mean, that's what, even with last year hunting him, I'd bounce around to different spots on them mountains, and he'd be at one while I was at the other, and it just got to her, just hang tight, just sit there, and he's gonna come through eventually. Just stay in one spot, he's gonna come through. It's not worth it to keep moving around, because he's moving around too. Eventually you are gonna have cross paths if you just stay put a lot of the times.
That was another thing I was going to ask you about is you hear guys say, like, your first time in is your best time in.
Yeah.
If you're talking about hunting a big woods, low deer density area, so do you think that's the case, or do you think that it's more like, hey, you've just got to hunt like one spot that you're very confident he's going to come through? If you might have to hunt it 4 or 5 times before he comes through.
I think odds wise, that's the best route to take. If you know he's coming through there, just wait him out. He's going to come back through. I mean, it's a cat and mouse game. The more you move around, the more chances he's going to know you're in there, and like I said, it's the more chances you're going to be there and he's there. And I don't know.
That's common for a lot of our mountain guys. They're like
Big woods guys in general.
Well, big woods, but especially big woods mountain guys, Appalachian mountains. Some of those guys that we've interviewed up there, it's like you find that deer, you find his sign of the area he's really using. Some of those dudes are like, man, that deer might come through here once a week, once every 4 or 5 days, like how he's making his loop, especially during the rut. And they just find those really good compounding terrain and habitat features where that deer is going to come through there if he's on that side of a mountain. Yeah. And they hold tight, and they might kill him on day 1, they might kill him on day 7.
Yeah, but just knowing their travel routes and knowing that they're going to come through there eventually. I've hunted other places that, I have deer showing up on camera that seem better spots, but historically, if I just sit here, they're gonna come through. I've got I had one property I used to hunt that I've killed probably 15 rack bucks out of one tree every year. That's just their travel route. They're gonna come through there eventually. During the rut, this is just their travel route down this big creek and checking does on this pine terrain change and this pine hardwood transition. No matter what my cameras were saying, I just go sit in that spot, and like I said, it might be day 1, it might be day 5. I'm gonna kill I'll put money on the table. As long as I sit here, something's gonna come by. You just got to be there when they come through.
And you mentioned this early on about annual patterns playing a factor. And we did a big episode on that, not this past May, but 2 Mays ago, with Daniel Williams, who's been on the podcast a few times. And he lives and dies by annual patterns and has had a lot of success with it.
If you can get history on a deer, that's what was hard about public land hunting, is it's hard to have multiple years history with a deer, especially in high pressured areas. A lot of the times they get killed or something happens, or they just don't, you don't know what happens. They just don't come back. But if you can get 2 years of history on a deer, I feel like, it's very good chances that they're going to do the same thing a calendar year later. That's what, just a few miles down on a different mountain range, I killed that piebald deer 3 years ago. I had him on camera the year before. He was like 3.5, 4 miles in. It was a hell of a spot to get back into. It was one of those that you didn't hike into very often. It was just one of those right time type things. I'd figured out the rut. I killed a couple other bucks back there that year. But I had this piebald on camera, and I had him just this couple days in the daylight coming down this trail, and that's when I had him. And the next year, I decided I really want to kill this piebald. It was an 8-point, really cool looking deer, and I went back in there exact same day that I had him on camera the year before, same spot. He walked in, shot him, like an hour different time from the same day last year. And there's been several instances over the years where as long as you're in there those same few days, it seems like a mature buck is going to do the same thing. A dominant buck, I feel like they know their high arm up does. They know what deer are around. They know when those does go in heat. They know, it's not like these are new does up here every day that they're trying to figure out. No, this deer's been around a long time. He knows what group comes in and what does come in first. I feel like, I mean, this is his house. This is his ladies that live here. I feel like they know when the time to be in here is. So I feel like, my opinion, I guess they're gonna do the same thing year after year if those does are doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's so interesting because now I'm thinking, I'm like, hopefully Andrew, is this date range coming up when that one buck was daylighting?
Oh, it's here right now. The daylight.
Andrew's trying to kill this one deer. It's really special.
Yeah.
In this one spot, they always daylight right around Christmas. And it's like 3 years in a row, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I can't hunt on Christmas Day, because I got a 2-year-old and I'm married, and she would not like that very much.
Yeah.
Might not be married much longer if I go hunt every Christmas Day, but it's like this week. I mean, it's right now.
Yeah.
But tomorrow we got that cold front rolling in, and this week it's been like 75 degrees, and I was kind of curious to see if that date range would still hold true, and it did.
Yeah, it did. Like,
they're in there.
I mean, they don't care about the weather as long as it's. I mean, like you said, Christmas Day. I've got some public land that I hunt that my in-laws lived up against too. Several years ago, I was hunting a big deer in there, and like I said, it's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day is when he'd daylight, and I couldn't ever hunt it. I'd have him on camera and check him. Would never see him again. Next year, same thing. Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, that's when they're daylighting. This year, I was sitting there eating Christmas lunch at their house. Camera goes off. I mean, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. 10 point behind their house, 300 yards. Checking a scrape on camera. Walking through on Christmas Day, and it's just that's the time to be in the woods there. It's just, I mean, you have, like you said, if you got that data to show that's when to be in the woods, that's when you need to be in the woods. If you're going to take time off from work, go those days. If you're gonna bank on anything, you don't have much time to go, use what you do know.
Yeah, one of our buddies just came down here, Devin Duncan, and he ended up killing a nice buck around here. And when he was coming down, it was going to be real warm, and he was texting me. He's like, "Man, should I come down here?" Like, because it's like a nasty warm front and everything. And I was like, "Yeah, I think you should," because I mean, these deer live in Alabama. I mean, like, it's going to be 75 degrees at some point in December every single year. And I'm curious on your thoughts on this, because this is kind of what I was telling Devin. I was like, when you get a really good cold front, I feel like it helps. Like, they definitely move better. But just because it's 75 degrees and muggy doesn't mean that they're necessarily not moving.
Yeah.
And like, I had a terrible hunt last year where we hunted in there and it was real warm. And we saw one buck we hunted like 4 days, saw one buck. And normally you would see a bunch of deer. And I was like, well, I don't know. I go back and forth on it, but I'm like, I think I was maybe just in the wrong area last year for that, because the cameras the camera showed they were still moving. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that. Like, in the deep south, it's just going to be warm during the rut at some times. Like, you're going to have cold fronts, and then it's going to be warm otherwise. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if a doe's in heat's a doe's in heat, and they're going to be after regardless. If it's warmer, I feel like obviously they're not going to move as much. But if she's in heat and a buck's pushing her, they're going to be moving around. Obviously, if it's a cold front, I feel like when this cold front hits tomorrow, I think it's going to amplify things a lot of the actual how many deer are out cruising and on their feet. But I mean, you got the deer that are chasing and the deer that are cruising. And I mean, they're going to be chasing regardless if they're on a hot doe. But just the cruising aspect, I think, is going to be multiplied by a lot better once this cold front gets coming in. I don't know.
That gets me excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fired up, boys.
Cold definitely helps.
Well, everybody feels more comfortable and confident when it's colder out. One thing I wanted to ask, because you kind of touched on this a little early on before we started recording, but because you killed this deer, 187, what kind of rumors have you heard? Because this has happened. Everybody we've ever had on the podcast who's killed a top tier buck in Alabama, the rumor mill is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, you hear all kind of high fence stuff and then poaching, and I mean, I don't know. You hear everything under the sun, but everybody that knows me personally knows not to think anything like that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, trespassing, poaching, high fence,
Everything.
everything you can think of, drones,
Yeah.
thermals. I mean, anything that anybody can think of. I know a guy. I don't know if y'all seen that other big buck killed in front of dogs the other week.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know him, and he's told me all kind of stories of people accusing him of hunting them with a drone and shooting them at night and all.
Well, that's
that
like
kind
the
of
second
stuff.
big deer he's killed.
Yeah,
that I know.
yeah,
of.
he killed like a 150 a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Behind in front of dogs. I mean, that's not far from where I hunt. Just those big national where they can dog hunt still, but yeah, he's told me how he steadily gets stuff, and I saw where he posted on Facebook the other day of how his family got him a gag drone gift for Christmas, a little cheap drone. Just all the flack he's been getting, people saying he hunted with a drone, so they said he got him a little $50 drone to make it more believable, I guess. But
Well, one
That's
thing,
great.
one thing I appreciate about this deer, your deer, is I saw where the state or Game and Fish, DCNR,
Yeah.
posted that they checked into the store and everything checked out.
Yeah.
Which is good to hear.
Oh,
They
yeah.
reach out to you.
they saw the post. I keep into whoever runs the Facebook page is a really nice person. I don't know him personally, but they posted my piebald deer, and they posted a couple other deer that I shared. I guess they keeping tabs on me a little bit, but yeah, I've never gotten any side eyes from them at least. But yeah, I always share. I'm full transparency when they ask about something. I tell them a lot of the times I share it with them just because I'm showing it off too. But yeah, I sent them a picture of that buck when I killed him opening day because and I told them, I said, I've got a bigger one, because they're a real nice person whoever I'm messaging on there, and I told them I got a bigger one. Hopefully I'll be sending you a picture of, and they couldn't believe it. And yeah, for sure, send us if you get them. And then so sent them that once they got done. So they're good people. It seems like at the DCNR, I think they enjoy people killing this type of deer and caliber off of these state lands that I guess help promote their cause too.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's Marianne Gaulden is who runs their social media page, and she's phenomenal. She's been there for a long time.
I didn't know who personally ran it, but
Yeah, well,
good sense of humor and
Yeah,
easy
funny.
to talk to.
It's funny.
the one other, because I know we're coming up on time. One other story though I want to talk about is this. Well, talked about hunt specific deer, some interesting takeaways there. I want to talk about your deer well, it's not your deer, it's your buddy's buck.
Yeah.
The deer got stolen
Yeah.
on a hunt on public land. So this is like the best. Listen, so this story here about this big deer, both of these bucks, is like best case scenario, public land, awesome.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the worst case
Yeah,
scenario.
worst case. All right.
Bring it back down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is entertaining. So every year for the past 6 or 7 years, I've got a group of 4 or 5 buddies that we take an annual rutcation, is what we call it. I hunt these mountains up here, and some of them are from Birmingham, one of them's from Tennessee. We all come back down, and we usually pick out a management area or somewhere down south, the easier terrain. And if anybody's got tags left, this is where we go to fill our tags. And most of the time, I'm already tagged out by January, so we started picking this one place because they have the bonus buck weekend, and it was during the rut, and that's the main time we would go. My group's actually down there right now. My buddy sent me a picture a little while ago. He killed a 7-point this morning chasing down there, but it's flat as this floor. It's swamps. It's so much of a good change up for me, but it's also really hard to wrap my head around of how to figure it out. I went, I guess it's 5 or 6, I think 6 years ago, my first time. I rode in with my buddy that killed the deer of the story. I rode in with him. He was going off one side of the road, and he's like, hell, I don't know where you want to go, Crocker. Just go. go off on this other side of the road and see if you can find something. I was like, all right, it's dark before daylight. I said, all right, I'm going to break off in here. And it's the terrain's so much different. It's a lot of planted oaks. I haven't ever been around that. And it's thick. And like I said, I towed a summit everywhere. So it was a little out of my element to find a tree that I could climb good and to be able to see. I finally climbed up in a spot that I thought I could see good. I had a real big cedar tree behind me, so I couldn't see that direction. This area is pretty high pressured, from what I've been able to tell over the past few years. But that keeps the deer moving through there. It's always, we see a lot of deer when we go. But I climbed up, didn't see nothing the first few hours, and funny part, I climbed back down. I'm taking my climber off the tree. Look, 20 yards past me, on the other side of this big cedar tree, here's another guy taking his climber.
Actually?
We both climbed out at the same time. Some stranger, we sat beside each other all morning.
And y'all didn't know each other
No
was
clue.
there?
Yeah, we were there 40 yards from each other. This big cedar tree between us. I guess we both got in before daylight and never knew each other was there. But we sat there and we just
That's
laughed at each
hilarious.
other. Just got back down. I was like, all right, well, crap, Mom. So I just kept on going deeper. And
It's like the old Spider-Man meme. When everybody's like, they're pointing at each other. It's like, what? What?
luckily he didn't shoot something and scare the crap out of me.
Oh.
But so I just went in deeper and I found this big transition of swamp and pine thicket, and by this time it was mid-morning, and I climbed up. I was planning on sitting all day, and climbed up, and I think it was 11 o'clock. I had a 5.5-year-old 7-point come out of the swamp. From what I've gathered is this is like an exit route into the swamp where everybody starts moving, coming out of the woods late morning. The deer just funnel through here. I killed that deer that first morning, and I was tagged out. That was the only buck tag I had, so I was like, crap, this first morning, this turned out pretty good. For 5 years in a row after that, I went and sat in that same spot. First day, except for last year, it was the third day. But first day, every sit between 11 and 2, I've killed a good rack buck out of that same tree. First sit, first day. I haven't had to scout. My buddies hate me because they're all scouting, doing all this work, trying to find good spots. And I'm just going over here. It's about a half-mile walk, but it's easy compared to what I'm used to doing. And I climb up. But yeah, every year I've killed a good buck, good mature buck out of the same tree. But it's just their exit route through the swamps. So yeah, I love going down there. Obviously,
That's cool.
It's my favorite place to go. Just looking forward to this. Just good camaraderie with my friends and all. But my same buddy that kind of led me in the area of that spot, it was 2 years ago, I believe. Might have been 3. I have to look back. It was where it was prime time. All of us were seeing bucks. The cell service is terrible down there. We needed this year we have walkie-talkies so we can talk to each other better. But I had been seeing bucks. One of my other buddies, he'd shot a big one, and he had just gotten down to start blood trailing it. And then Andy, my good buddy, we get a text come through, said I killed a big one, got a big one. Like, heck yeah, buddy. He's one of those that he puts in the work and the time, and he hadn't had the best luck down there. He's hit or miss if he kills something good, and he's missed a couple bucks. He's wounded a couple that couldn't find over the years out there. He hadn't had the best luck, so we were all just pumped for him. It was his birthday buck. He shot a good one. Surprisingly, this picture came through text where he got down. It was this buck right here, actually. He's a big 6-point. They aged him at 4.5 years old. He got down out of the tree. He dropped him. He had, I think it was a 7 mag. Dropped him in his tracks at like 30 yards. He was chasing a doe. He got down, took his grip and grin picture. It took a video with him, just showing him off like this and smiling, and sent pictures to us. And we're like, heck yeah, awesome. And he was, I think, about a quarter mile, half mile from the truck where his game cart and all that was. So he left the deer there. He left his head leaned up against a tree where he was taking pictures of it. and started his hike out to his truck to go get his game cart and to get service. He said he went up the hill a little bit to get service to be able to call all of us and let us know that he killed one. He didn't know if his picture sent through or not because it was a big group message. And then called his girlfriend and everybody else to celebrate. It was his birthday. It was just a good moment for him. On his way out, he'd heard 3 shots coming back from behind him, but he didn't really think much about it. There's so many people in the woods and there's hogs all down there, so there's no telling what got shot, and didn't think nothing about it. We're all still in the tree. It's gotten mid-morning. Everybody's seeing bucks. He goes back to, he gets his game cart and goes back to drag it out. His deer's not there. He finds the spot where it was laying dead. He finds everything where he was. The tree where he climbed and everything, he was in the right spot, but his deer was not there. So he starts freaking out, not knowing what just happened. Obviously, somebody stole his deer because it was dead as a doornail, and he took pictures with it. So he starts frantically looking. He goes back to his truck. There's one road that came up above him that he thought they might have, they would have had to have come in off of because he didn't pass the people when he came out. So he rode to the game warden check-in station, talked to them, tell them what was going on. Nobody had seen anything. So he just starts riding the roads, just trying to find whoever took his deer. He passes a Jeep on his way down the road and sees his deer on the back of it. Stops the guys. A little bit of a confrontation from what he told me. The guy's just hard on his story that he believed he'd walked up on a bedded buck and that he got, I don't know, less than 100 yards from him, I think, and put 3 rounds in him. His head was still up, so he kept shooting. Gets over to him. This guy's tickled to death that he killed this deer. Drug him out before my buddy had gotten back. They go down to the check-in station. Game warden, iffy, I guess, decision, but what is it, possession is 9/10 of the law is what they claim, or what he told them, that even though my buddy had pictures of the deer with him dead, game warden let the guy leave with the deer in his possession. We're all still in the woods, and then finally the messages start coming through. Can't find my deer. Found my deer. Somebody's got my deer. Game warden won't give him back. Like, it was just, they all start coming in together, and we're like, crap, what's going on? And then as I'm getting this message, I have a big, it's probably 120-inch 8-point, come chasing a doe. I pop him, killed him. So we're all in a bind of trying to get our deer out. My other buddy's still looking for him, and we realize that he's got his deer stolen. So now I'm like, well, I can't leave mine here. I got to get mine out now too. So by the time we all get out of the woods and go meet him, this guy's long gone with his deer. My buddy's just upset as can be. It's his birthday. He was on cloud 9. Now he's as low as it can get. His deer's gone. He watched the guy take his deer. Couldn't do nothing about it. But the guy the hunter just pled ignorance, I guess. It was, understandable. My buddy swears he was as honest as he could be. He really thought that he walked up on a bedded buck and shot him and took him. But we're all, as being his buddies, we're all just livid mad. Like, he's just down in the dumps all evening, just not wanting to go back hunting. He's ready to go home. He's just wanting to call it quits. He's just down in the dumps. So we all just felt terrible for him. We ended up ending that hunt that weekend. I don't think he even went back in the woods. He was just pissed off about it all and went home empty-handed. We get back and we start posting stuff on social media. The biologist we're friends with down there, he ended up telling us the guy's name, and just a couple posts on a couple of these hunting pages on Facebook, we're able to find the guy and kind of call him out a little bit on what happened. And I guess through the power of social media and everybody else giving him flack for it, sending him messages and all, knowing what he did. It was photo proof of my buddy killed this deer. He ended up messaging me back just a few days later and said, hey, if y'all take this post down, I'll meet up with y'all and give you your deer head back. And ended up nice as can be. Luckily, no confrontation, but he met my buddy in Birmingham and gave him his deer back at a gas station one day. Gave him the head of it and brought it back, and I skull mounted it for him. But yeah, he's tickled as can be that he was able to get it back. It was just the highest of highs, the lowest of lows.
See, the crazy thing about that story is your buddy had the photo and videos of like that deer's pretty. He's a 6-point, but like he's got a weird thing going on with his left beam.
Yeah, I mean he's very
Very
like, distinct.
He's like if you looked at him, you're like, there's
Yeah.
certain things about that deer, you're like, oh, it's that deer.
Yeah.
And it's weird. The gamer was like, well, the guy said he shot him bedded down 3 times. I'm like,
There's 4 holes in it.
Yeah, we weren't real happy with the game warden, but like I said, he wasn't gonna try to get mixed up in the drama either. It was a busy day down there, I guess, and he just the call.
Yeah, it'd be
he
a
made
terrible
at the
situation to be in
moment.
if you're that game warden.
Yeah, so I don't hold it against him. I'm sure he was just trying to keep the peace too, because I'm sure it was. Like my buddy talked, it was pretty heated around that skin and shed that day about it all. But yeah, he had a video of it where he's just sitting there.
Yeah.
So is your buddy now when y'all go down there? Do y'all carry some chain?
Oh yeah, we keep. We all have. As a
Cable
gag
locks?
gift, the next year we all bought each other little padlock things to wrap around, and if we do leave the deer, but yeah, now it's pretty much we get them out as fast as possible now. No wasting time if you or leave. At least tell them put your hat on them, put
some blaze on
put
them.
something on them.
Yeah.
Put something on him to know that he's been claimed already. Because you never know. I mean, it's a crazy world we live in. And
You think that guy like really thought that he killed that deer?
from
The guy who took it?
the way my buddy talked that met him in person that got the deer back from him, he claimed it. I mean, he said it seemed honest as could be.
I could see how that could happen if you're that guy and you see the deer through the woods, but my thing is like at some point he had to
Yeah.
realize like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
I'm
how
wrong.
like experience of a hunter he was, or I don't really know. I mean, you never know the circumstances behind all that, I guess. But in his mind, he put 3 rounds in a sleeping deer.
Wes has got a story kind of
But-
like that.
But it was blown. The deer was blown to heck and back. His leg was blown off. Like it was. He had holes all in his back and butt. Or
Oh my goodness.
so probably didn't salvage a whole lot of meat off of him. But,
No. The that's crazy. But again, it's good your buddy got the deer back and everything. And but it's interesting that you're going from like hunting mountain hill country to flat lands and having success in both. Down there, it's a little more sounds pressure based hunting, hunt exit routes, getting some thick swamps and cover like that compared to up in the mountains. One other thing I want to talk to you about, just kind of recap on the hunting a specific deer. What is your biggest takeaways so far after doing, killing 2 bucks you had some history with, doing some other deer as well? Is there anything? Is there any other takeaways you've had from targeting specific bucks? Everyone's different, but what are the takeaways that maybe if a guy's out there watching or listening, that he's like, if he's hunting that specific deer, maybe he could try to use?
yeah, said that just the outcome is just so much more rewarding when you do the work and time and actually kill that specific deer. But yeah. I mean, anything's possible. I didn't think it was going to be possible to kill this deer, and like I said, I just grinded it out and kept putting in the work, and I mean, it paid off. I mean, it ain't going to work if you don't try. And like I said, if you got the history with him and know what he's going to do later on in the year, it's just more ammo for you to better your odds. But yeah, I mean, I like hunting public land because I can chase a deer. On private land, you're having to wait for that deer to come through. You don't know how many properties he's using, how far he's going. But on big tracts of public land, you can keep chasing them. You can go deeper and deeper with them and figure out where they're coming from. That's what I like about this area over here. Is I can, like I said, I can kill them in a mile, or I can kill them 5 miles deep. I can keep grinding and keep searching for him instead of just waiting and hoping that he'll come through. You can keep tracking and keep using sign and cameras, and I mean, just keep using all your knowledge and to keep figuring out where, like I said, if I would have just stopped where I first got pictures of him, I would have never killed this deer. But I kept on looking and finding where he was coming out closer to daylight and kept on. I mean, where I killed him to where I first got pictures of him was probably 3 miles apart. But you just got to keep grinding and figure out where they're coming from.
One other side note, it was last year, so the first year you found this deer. Did you hunt when we had all that snow?
Yeah.
How was it? Did you see anything?
I didn't really. It was neat to be able to see all the tracks, and that's what I kind of got hung up in that. I walked a lot more than I needed. I just kept following tracks just to try to catch up to whatever was making them. But yeah, it was neat seeing them, and then the deer I did see, I mean, they're so much easier to spot in the woods. Just that brown and white contrast on everything. But on a movement standpoint, I felt like they bedded up and they didn't move as much as I would have thought they would have. Like they weren't used to the snow either, and they hunkered down.
They're just like us,
Tough
man.
it out.
They get 2 inches of snow, they shut down, just like the rest of us.
Call to work, call to school. Ain't
Yep.
Close the schools, go get your milk and bread, baby.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Josh, dude, we've taken up a ton of your time. You got any last takeaways or anything from? I mean, you've had such an incredible year. Hopefully, you're not taking it for granted. I don't think you are.
No.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's harder to relate and I can't relate with you. I mean, but it's hard to relate like having such a good year like this, and then like what's next.
Yeah.
Like, have you thought about that at all for next season?
I mean, just keep doing the same thing, I guess. Like I said, I'm happy with a 120-inch deer just as I am anything else. I mean, that's just, you got to have feasible expectations in Alabama. You know, I'm not going to go kill another deer of this caliber unless if I do, I need to play the lottery. It's not just, you can't really expect that. But yeah, just all the knowledge I've just gained off of hunting this one deer, I'm going to definitely use it to my advantage coming forward, of just going to the places that nobody wants to go to. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I went and hiked in another area. It was roughly a 12-mile loop that I made in the mountains in another area that looked good on the maps for me. And like I said, it was probably the 5-mile mark from the truck on the way out. I came to a spot that's just like, why am I here? Like, why am I even doing this? This is terrible. Like, no deer are gonna live here. Take a few more steps. Walked up on a giant and I wasn't able to get a shot at them. It's just the spots that you just don't think a deer are gonna be in. But that's where these big deer are. They're gonna get. They know where people aren't going. So, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Of getting in there in these spots, that what could be there. Like I said, we went over, you don't just going by sign wise, I'd have never known this deer was there if I hadn't gotten those pictures of them last summer. I probably would never went back up in there just because it's so brutal to hunt back in there. But everything I've learned, I mean, it makes sense to go. I mean, a big deer ain't big by being dumb, and they're gonna go where they don't see people. So if you just tough it out and keep grinding at it, and eventually it's going to pay off on a big mature deer.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, perfect. Well, Josh, greatly appreciate you coming down.
I appreciate y'all having me. I hope I'm not too awkward. I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I'm not the best at talking, but I stepped out of my wheelhouse a little bit, and hope it all turns out good for you.
No, you did great.
Appreciate it, man.
It's fun with you coming down here, bringing both bucks from this year, both your 140 and your 187. It's cool to meet somebody who's had a season like this, but again, like, you don't seem very arrogant about anything.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate that about you, especially first time meeting you.
I try to stay humble. I'm getting into podcasts a little bit, like just watching podcasts. I've always been against them. Not against them, but I don't watch them because a lot of people are so full of themselves, and this is the way to do it. No other else's way is going to work, and they just get way too damn scientific with it. and hunt how you want to hunt how you enjoy. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't do what I do because it's so grueling that, I mean, I got frustrated a lot. Like, I mean, all those days of going in and not seeing a deer at all, and just not, I mean, it's just a lot of time and effort to not pay off on some of the things, and I mean, it's very easy to give up. And so, I mean, I don't know, it's do what makes you happy. I'm obsessed enough to that makes me keep going in and doing this. But I know now what can be the payoff of it. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Well, perfect. Well, we appreciate you coming down and appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank y'all for listening. And listen, guys, end of the year. Hope y'all enjoy 2025. Excited for 2026. And just remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.